What's up? You've tuned into the Kokomo Press Podcast. I'm Jordan Grainger, your host, and this week, my co-host, Hypocrisy Jones, brought us a power couple in Kokomo. Yes, that's right. Our guests this week are Lindsey and Dustin Ogle. Yeah, those Ogles, the ones who run Fade Salon, the Coterie, who do Ogle Products. They do Mother Flockers. They do so many different things. It was great learning about all of them. We talked about a ton on this episode. But before we get to that, make sure you like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, share this around, do all the things that help us be seen. Because when you do that, then we can keep providing this excellent content that we work really hard for all you people of Kokomo. Anyway, this week with the Ogles on, we talked about so much, man. We got into Stoicism. We got into the old social. We got into the halftime. We got into everything. We got into the Ogle Products, into the Fade Salon and its inception. I even got Lindsey and Dustin to tell us about how they met and how they started dating. It's a great story. We had so many great stories, even one about a celebrity that came to Kokomo. But we also talked a ton about like pop culture news, including a new Phil Collins biopic in the style of GTA. That's pretty wild. We talked a little bit about Elton John and some of the things he's been going through. Kendrick Lamar's new show that's going to be on Paramount Plus with Trey Stone and Matt Parker of South Park. Heck, we talked about Google and Incognito and how they're facing a lawsuit right now. Plus, we talked about everything going on at the Coterie and around Kokomo. We talked about satire and the things that we do. We just hit everything. So make sure you tune in to this very special episode and have a great time with myself, Hypocrisy Jones, Dustin Ogle, and Lindsey Ogle, here on the Kokomo Press Podcast, baby. Woo!
Warning, this video contains adult content not suitable for children.
I don't either. I like to do things with people. I think it's more fun when you can work together. You guys are pretty collaborative. I mean, you have everything you guys do is very collaborative. I mean, how'd you guys get to that point in life where you're like, because I feel like a lot of people do get bogged down with we're doing our thing, and then you get to the point where you become a collaborative, or is it just like a natural thing?
I think to do all the things that we want to do, it requires like being a team player, and collaboration is for the top and competition's for the lower. Mm-hmm. And I think when you get into that mindset, then you'll be able to expand on the ideas that are, beneficial for yourself, for other people, for the community. You can really create cooler shit when you have that mentality rather than competitively thinking like, you have to invite them in.
Yeah.
You know.
I think that's great. It's a great way to explain it.
Yeah, I agree. I think you asked if it's like just to do our thing or cooperate. I think our thing is cooperate,
Yeah.
I think when we're at our most natural state, it's in cooperation, discovery of what other talents that people have and what we can learn together.
Yeah.
For sure.
Mm-hmm. I think that's important. We're here at this Kokomo Press Podcast. I'm Jordan Grainger. We're live in studio with one of the greatest co-hosts of all time,
Hypocrisy Jones.
He's hanging out. He's definitely not a pirate.
Why?
I'm sorry.
Why do you always take it there?
This is a comedy show. Eye patch, bro. Yeah, we'll get you an eye patch.
I mean, I'll wear an eye patch.
Okay.
Pirates are cool, though.
Yeah.
Kim might like me in an eye patch.
Yeah. All right. Now we've gone. No, we're not doing role playing at the podcast right now. What you guys do and
what? Do I need to bring up Pixar stuff?
Oh God! Now Brian's getting triggered in the chat. We're here with a very special couple, couple people that if you're from Kokomo, you've been to Kokomo, you've frequented a couple of different establishments. You guys have so many things you guys have done over the years. Ladies and gentlemen, Lindsey and Dustin Ogle are in the house. They made it happen. That's a little loud. Maybe I turned that down. I don't know why things are always so loud when I use them. Sorry,
I liked
people.
It.
No, okay, good.
Yeah.
Great applause.
We have a studio audience. We just don't know where they're at.
No, they're out there.
We keep looking for them. They're clapping. But thank you guys so much for being here. I know this is something we've talked about for, maybe like a year and a half, about talking about getting you guys in here and goofing off. And we do one a week, so it's always like back and forth. And then you two are very busy people.
Very, very busy.
I mean, come on.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
I appreciate it.
It's good to be here.
Yeah. So you do your own podcast, so you've kind of veered into this world. So you're like, behind the scenes of things. Yours is I like to say yours is a little more serious. I'm like, if people want some highbrow stuff, go watch Dustin's show because it's way better than ours.
No, that's why this is fun. This is fun for me. Yeah. Cut up and joke. For sure.
Like it. Well, I mean, you do have a book. I want to bring that up real quick.
Oh, thanks. Yeah.
we aren't who we are, which is, I mean, this, if anything, tells you how more highbrow than he is, because my book would be like fart jokes and stuff like that. And this looks like How to Become Dustin. How do I become you, or just how to become? Yeah. It almost like how to become you.
So do you like that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an interpretation of you, but I like this. Is this like kind of like the wisdom you've learned over the years and like kind of give to people, or are you looking to those?
That's a good question. First of all, it's how to become, and there should probably be a period there, man. It's not actually how to become me.
Yeah.
No, the book's actually about you. You know, whoever has it, it's about them. And it is kind of about wisdom, but, you know, a lot of authors take something that they've learned and then try to articulate in a way so other people can understand it.
Yeah.
I didn't do that in here very much. I did something a little bit different. And there are things that I become very interested in, and I develop the deepest understanding I can. And then I do like to reduce it down to something I can use in life.
Yeah.
And I share that with people, and they seem to like it. So what I did in the book was try to set a frame that anybody can understand these ideas and place it within themselves. And then there's practices in there. There's ways to have an experience of your own.
Yeah. Man, I'm not to read
so
this.
essentially, it's creating a heuristic for deep ideas, so you can operate with very complicated ideas without having to.
I'd like to touch on that, because you do have practices in here. You have some writing exercises, some exercises about like killing the ego. I
can't read it now. I need that guy.
No, it's narcissism only.
Damn it!
And you explore a lot of different things, which just is all about self and how to become the best self, how to block out the factors that hinder us and stuff. And you touch on some very heavy things and some very real things in this, and I think it's doing pretty well, and it's doing pretty well for people that have read it. And I think the reception is telling that. So I think you did a pretty good job with this, actually.
Thanks. Yeah, and you did that's a really good insight. You really touched on like the central ethos of the book. Yeah.
I have a really big helper. Shout out my wife, my lovely wife. She that works for you guys, but she dove right into it. She really liked it. She really enjoyed it. And as I've looked over it, I've seen exactly what she was saying and understood how things are interpreted in here. So like I enjoyed it.
That's good, man. That was the real goal, is to get people to look inside and ask questions.
Yeah.
You know,
interview yourself.
That's where all of our power lies. You know.
I'm a very introspective person. I think I probably talk about myself too much. Like the narcissism thing is a real thing, probably between both of us. But like the way I outlet those things, and we outlet those things, is through comedy sometimes. I
love that. Yeah.
He tells real life jokes about his, it's situations and dealings with everyday people, his family and things like that. I talk real life things, but more situations about how like I have interpreted life. And like I think diving into those things is a journey in itself, whether you're doing it for self-help or whether you're doing it for comedy like we do, or anything else. And like it's a hard thing to do, but those that can practice these things and kind of like contour your life, study it, like do become a better person. So it is, I understand how to become you.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and I love what you guys do with comedy. I think it's so important. We do very much the same thing. From my experience, not being a comedian, but really enjoying comedy, is that, comedians have to be able to find that truth and make people a little introspective, because you have to laugh unconsciously.
Yeah.
You have to be introspective. It has to be something,
Comedy, if there's two different versions of comedy, in my opinion, and that's people who aren't introspective and people that are. And so like the introspection it informs so much of what I do in writing, because a lot of the times I'm looking for what's funny, but I can't tell a story or do something on stage that doesn't feel like authentic to something that either occurred to me or something that I've like felt or thought, because thoughts are, they're really personal. A lot of the times you can have very personal thoughts, and I can turn that into something that maybe was, embarrassing or something that made me feel insecure, and like turn that into a laugh on stage and kind of take the power away from it in a lot of ways, and heal myself personally. Like when I do I have a horrible joke I've been working on lately. It's basically a sophisticated fart joke, and I know that sounds horrible. It's like, oh yeah, introspection, but like legitimately,
it's funny.
My
jokes
ex,
always be funny.
Legitimately, my ex, it created an anxiety for me because my ex came in the house and she stayed the night one night. We were kind of new dating, and she said she woke up. My brother had come in town and stayed for the night, and he slept on the couch, and she said she woke up in the middle of the night and we were both like farting in our sleep. And I was like, so then, and when she and I broke up and I started dating again, and I would stay the night at a girl's house, like something, maybe we'd have a good night, or, maybe we just fell asleep laying down watching Netflix. You people don't need to know. I would kind of have anxiety about falling asleep. Like, I don't want to fall asleep and then.
Don't relax your asshole.
I don't want to relax my sphincter too much. I might. So I'd be waking in the middle of the night, and this is not a joke. This is, I'll tell people the truth. Like, I would wake up in the middle of the night, like, I'm going to the bathroom. I'd go to the bathroom in the middle of the night and like pass gas because that's all I could do. And I'd turn that into a joke about Beethoven and his lesser known composer brother Dutchoven and like stupid stuff like funny. I turned it into a sophisticated. Because she said it sounded like a symphony, and I'm like, what, Beethoven's Fifth? I don't. It's just dumb stuff like that. But like you've had the same thing happen, and a lot of it is like serious things like involving like being a child and people like. You being a mulatto child or whatever you want to call it, and people not knowing what your race is, and then kind of just coming at you about it, which is insane to me.
Yeah, it's a weird thing. I just tell people now that I'm a Power Ranger. What's weird is that I should probably tell that joke better in some ways, because like I just say like like people will come up to me like, "Hey, little girl," but like so like one. I already miss your dreads, but your hair looks amazing.
Yeah, very good look. We like the look. It looks nice.
But there was a younger me that wanted dreads, right, or wanted braids. So like I started them. So I was literally walking around Marsh. And like I probably did look like a little Raggedy Ann doll little girl. Yeah. So and this lady comes up to me and she's like, "Hey, little girl, well, like what are you?" And she's like, "Are you Puerto Rican? Are you?" And like I didn't even know what to say to this sort of thing. So like now I make a joke out of it. I'm like, "Bitch, I'm a Power Ranger. Get the fuck away from me.
I'm a kid. Like that's what I think I am.
Like,
yeah.
What do you think I am?
Yeah.
Like who comes up to a 5-year-old like this? But like I don't know. These are things that like. Even the little things in life that you're like, hey, why did that situation happen? Like, what did I do? What could I do better? Yeah. How can I maybe overcome these situations or make them not a problem in the future? It's always things that like you look at in real life and then we joke about.
Yeah, I think that's great. It takes the weight out of it. Yeah. It lightens the load of real important things.
Yeah. Yeah. And when it comes to like my gas, a lot. It lightens the load a lot. No, but it's like things like that I think are important. I think it does bring some brevity to like introspection. And with comedy, I think it's one of the weirdest ways that you can take something like that gives you anxiety or it gives you like an insecure part and like turn it into a bit and then put it on stage. And it's interesting what resonates with people, because sometimes I won't get a laugh at a joke, but then I'll talk to people after and they're like, I really like that joke. And I'm like, didn't laugh, motherfucker. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, didn't laugh at it. And they're like, well, it hits too close to home. And I'm like, okay, well, I guess that means something, but this isn't a TED Talk. Make a laugh out of it. Right. Yeah. I mean, you guys have done so many things in the community. I mean, I got a couple of things I have to ask because I was out of town for a while. Did you guys were you guys did the social, right? Mm-hmm. You guys part of that? The whole social hang time? What was it? What was the bar?
Well, I started the
bench. What is it called?
I started the social experience 20 right. Oh my gosh.
I know.
2008.
Yeah, and I was in the Navy. I was gone. I left in 06.
Yeah. And then there was the Social 2, which was a bigger building, and it had the halftime sports bar and grill in it.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah. So I spent some time on the half side. I was married by the time I got back. I was like, I don't want to go to the social. That's going to get me in trouble.
It was the same for me. I just got out of the military. I was like, can't go to the bar like that now. I really, and now looking back, I should have.
Yeah. Well, I heard so many good things about it. Everybody's like, man, we've got a legit club here, and I think I went to the one because it used to be over by like Park Road, right?
Yeah, that was the small, tiny little first business.
It was nice. I went in there.
Then Lindsey became a big part of the big one in 2010, 11.
Can you tell them about the story about the king? It's my favorite. There's so many bangers.
The king.
The king that wanted to come in had a jacket.
Oh no!
Oh yeah. So we're not gonna name anybody. But there's this extremely famous basketball. I think this is the story you're talking about.
Yeah.
There was quite a few famous people that would come, and the thing would be that they didn't want to go out in Indy and catch a bunch of attention.
Right.
Yeah.
But if they were in Indy, we were a quick ride, and the club had gotten very popular. It was like a whole culture.
Right.
6,000 people a week through there.
I heard it overseas. I mean, it did.
Yeah. So anyway, this guy had an entourage, and he wanted to come in and have a good time. And his entourage was unwilling to follow any rules or policies, and they were all carrying weapons, and like it was none of that. And they were like, "Well, don't you know who this is?" and whatever. And I was like,
My husband is an academic. And
the truth is, I didn't know who he was. But even if I did, in the times I did know, I didn't care. I was like, I don't care.
Yeah.
You can just get back in your cars and leave.
Right.
Yeah. It's like you're a person. We're people. What's this?
Yeah. And interestingly, this particular person stopped and thought about it and was like, you know what? This is the place that I want to be then.
Yeah.
So he turned around to his entourage. He was like, you guys need to get up. Go away.
Yeah.
And he came in and had a great time. And nobody bothered him. Nobody knew who he was. And nobody would expect that person to be sitting next to you in Kokomo, Indiana. So it went smooth.
And you nicknamed him the King.
well, they kept saying the king wants to come in, and my husband responds, "You forgot all the juicy stuff because you're
I don't
trying to be
remember stuff
like
like
unassailable."
this. Yeah.
But they said the king. He said Elvis Presley.
You better let him in.
Yeah. It's just a sport that has a circular ball.
You got us with the king.
Yeah.
We understand.
Okay.
It may have something to do with something like this. Yeah.
I just thought it was great because he was just like, Elvis Presley? He's like, who's trying to come in here? It was
Elton John? Who we got? We got
There's
somebody.
So many fantastic stories, but
Yeah, I'm not sure what you're the king of, but you got to pay cover.
Yeah.
I need your $5.
Jordan understands because he is a queen. If you guys know about the Indiana basketball right now, Caitlin Clark is probably the queen of basketball at the moment. And
she's an absolute.
Jordan over here has
and she's beautiful.
The biggest
and
crush
she's
on.
an angel, and she shoots from 3.
Yeah.
And I have a bit. The funny thing is, I was making jokes on Facebook about it, and I forgot that I had linked my threads. I barely use threads, but I linked my threads, and it was like showing up on threads, and then I started getting all these notifications from threads, and I'm like, what is this about? I don't use this. So I go over there and look at it, and apparently I accidentally became an influencer for Caitlin Clark on threads. Stuff I was putting on Facebook. I'm like, it must be easy to grow over there if you have the right angle or something, It was just an interesting thing. I love basketball. She came to my state that I love, and so I was like, I'm gonna be a big fan of hers. And
he has sex dreams about her.
I did have a sex dream. That's not a big deal.
It's a whole thing.
It's a whole thing. You don't control your dreams. You know what I mean? If you have a sex dream about a beautiful basketball player,
but she might be better as long as she doesn't go around calling herself the queen, as.
I'll do it for her. If she wants me to be in her entourage, I'll tell everybody the queen's coming through. Everybody, I'll be the entourage.
Yeah. You can do it. You can be that courthouse jester.
I can do that too.
Yeah.
I'll just take anything in the King's Guard or whatever. I don't know.
I love it.
He got me in the Game of Thrones, so I have to say King's Guard, I guess, right?
It'll work.
I'll be the hand of the queen. All right, that's enough about my dream. No, that's awesome. No, that's great. I mean, being in Kokomo, it's like on the way to everything, and I feel like we've had so many random encounters with different people that have come through and do different things, and so that's a very interesting. I mean, I know when I was overseas, I heard a lot about the club, came in, saw it, and then you guys moved and get bigger, and I've heard so many. People have so many great memories of those clubs. What did you take from those clubs and bring downtown to make because I mean the Coterie is huge, it's gigantic. If I bring up Kokomo, they say 2 bars. The Hugger and the Coterie. The Hugger, has its own separate thing, but the Coterie gets brought up a lot and on TikTok everywhere. So how did that come about?
Certainly. Well, a lot of credit to my partner, Kyle Gibson, who worked with me from way back in the beginning, the original social. And, he's absolutely brilliant. And the culture's brilliant. Really, it's the city wanted the Coterie. Yeah. When we started it, the idea was very new, and of course, a lot of people said it wouldn't work, the whole craft thing. But now that's all there is.
Oh yeah.
So very far ahead of the curve, and just very consistent effort towards, excellence and great marketing and stuff. And Kyle operates it, and he does an incredible job. I've never seen anyone do it better.
It's an interesting type of place to go to because it has its own vibe. It has its own feel. I saw he had put some type of post out about, I think, and this is my interpretation as a person who has no idea anything about craft beer, about a specific brand of craft beer, not, doing something, and then all these people were just like commenting below, like a bunch of, it was like watching like German or something on the below, because I'm like, I can't understand any of this. It's in English, but it's all a language I don't speak because I'm not a beer drinker, unfortunately. I can't get into the hops. The hops just
He's not that kind of bear.
No.
But I'll drink some beer and I'll try some stuff. And I like the varieties nowadays, and like the fact that you guys were smart enough to key in on that or very early, just as a testament to what you guys look at, especially trend wise, and being on the pulse of different things. And I think you guys have helped to create a culture, especially in the downtown area, of where, we have a vibe, and it's not going to be crazy. You're going to be safe. You're going to have a fun time. You're going to be able to eat, drink, and probably, usually like hear some music. Like you guys got this summer tour or this tour coming up. Or
I have a little bit of it right here.
These dates coming up here.
Yeah. That's a good point you make. Yeah. When the Coterie went in and Fade Salon went in, just bring it up at the same time, in downtown was almost abandoned. It was like a lost project. There definitely was no culture. There was no investment happening. And so now it's great. Yeah. And to see the fact that we, when I say we, I mean all of the people over the years that have played a big part in it, have helped create a culture, and that's such a cool thing.
I think it was definitely much needed, and it's something that like our city, like we really harp on that because one, we love creatives, we love creative people, we love people that are also open and inclusive to other creative people, because that's what built that culture, that's what built that vibe. Us doing this podcast, inviting all sorts of everybody's to here has helped to do that, then transition those things to like our open mics and things like that. But you guys really did during a time where there wasn't a whole lot of things to do downtown. There wasn't a whole lot of things to do in this city, period. That wasn't like, hey, let's go to this stupid chain restaurant. I mean, and I like Chili's because I used to be single and didn't have money, but like,
it's good,
yeah. You can only get a 2 for $20 so many times.
Balling on a budget.
Where you're like, hey, this depression is really set in.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you brought up something very important, which is, and obviously we were going to get to it for sure, is Fade Salon. There's such a vibe in there. We had people recently come on who branched out from you guys, which that tells me everything I need to know about the type of business you guys run, is that you guys are a power couple. That's what I look at you as, a power couple that you guys bring things to downtown. You have been doing that. There were tumbleweeds before, and now there's, a different kind of weed. We need to legalize it. But I'm just kidding. There were tumbleweeds before downtown. I mean, I remember Buckeye Street didn't look anything what it looks like now. What it looks like down there, a lot of it is a foundation was built with, Fade Salon and with the things that you guys have been doing downtown and Ogle Products and these great things that you guys have been doing. So as far as like Fade and the vibe, we had a couple people that came on as well. I was getting into Devin,
Devin and Nicole.
Yeah, and they came on and talked to us a little bit about what they're doing and how they went on and how you guys were so supportive, and that kind of helps everybody kind of understand, like, oh, okay, you guys are the type of people that you guys let people grow. And that's different. A lot of people will do everything they can to cage a bird if a bird's flying, and I think it's a great thing to have Fade Salon do that. And one of the things we talked about when we were there is how it's such an eclectic place to walk into, Fade Salon. I've gotten my hair cut there many, many times by multiple people in there. And every time I come in there, the vibes are great. I love all the things on the wall. I love the fact that it's high energy, but also everybody's kind of like goofing and talking and having a good time. How did you create a culture that is, multifaceted with people from all different backgrounds, race, ethnicity, gender, sexual orientation? It feels like you're welcome there no matter what. I don't think that's easy to do in a small town, but you've found a way to do it. How did you get there?
Do you want to answer that, or do you want?
You go ahead. Yeah, you go ahead.
Well, it's her salon, so we're going to make her talk about it. But
Yeah, I'm talking to you, Lindsay. We're talking to you right now. This is it's your baby.
But I have a quick thing I'll say about it to maybe help you get started on that. Is that you're right, and it's such a good insight that the culture in there is so incredible, which, by the way, I had very little to do with. What I think is it's very inclusive and diverse and all of these things that are amazing because it doesn't focus on that.
Yeah.
What it focuses on is a greater vision and very more important and deeper ideas, and it puts together a team of people that can do that. And nobody in there spends any time thinking about the kind of things that could tear a culture apart. Right. They're all doing a great thing in their mind, and to me, that's inspiring every time I see it. I love being in there.
Yeah.
I think when things are organically like that, when you can tell when people aren't worried about those sort of optics, it definitely is better because it's natural and you just feel invited on a humanistic level, which is, I think, ultimately what we all want sometimes, just.
Yeah, we're on the human team.
Yeah.
That's the only team we need, really.
That's it, bro.
I mean, I understand what you're saying, and I completely get where you're coming from with that. But like, that's a top-down thing that you can watch a million different places pop up around town, and it becomes like a microcosm of like the same type of people. And like I said, I'm not trying to get you guys to say anything controversial or anything, but I am trying to say that like it's a very comfortable place for people to be in. It's a very welcoming place for anybody in any. I think I have a kid singing somewhere or something.
I like it.
I like it.
I've got a kid singing.
Yeah.
It happens every once in a while. I got a kid come down the stairs singing Britney Spears or something.
Close enough to Halloween, though. I was concerned that it might be a spirit or something.
Oh yeah, I don't have kids. I'm just kidding.
To answer your question, I like it when he kind of reduces things down because I could just go off. But really, I've worked in many environments in like salons. I've been doing it for 22 years. Fade's only been open for 13, which I say only, but like that's
a long
period of time.
Shout out there. Lots of businesses I heard that make really sad Facebook posts really quickly.
Absolutely. You know, and I just went in going into it. I had a good friend of mine, and we worked at another shop, and she was like, we need to do this. And I went to Dustin, who was my boyfriend at the time, and I was like, I don't know. Like the lights would be off. We would have no water, but we'd all have matching outfits. I know what I'm good at and what I'm not good at. I'm paying the bills. It's probably not going to happen. So, he approached me, and we had been together for a pretty significant period of time, and he saw I was willing to work my ass off. I've always been that way. I've always been a hard worker, and I really wanted just a place where everybody felt welcome because like you said with your comedy, our experiences that we have to learn how to express that in the ways that to make us lead a fuller life of understanding and compassion for others. And the way that I think that I express mine is from having a space where everybody feels seen and heard and loved and welcomed for who they are.
Yeah.
And it just with everything like you said, the multiple things, it just doesn't, I don't even look at it that way. I just want them to know that wherever they go, they're this place is going to be here, and we're going to be consistently welcoming you.
Yeah.
Because I've felt that before, where I've been to, that particular industry, like a salon or a shop or someplace, and I didn't feel that way. And so it's very important that, I myself remember that every single day, every time I walk in for a shift, and then just try to encourage other people. And really, when you meet someone, our interview processes, you would probably laugh your ass off because it's really, it's really not okay, well, what about this? And I'm jotting things down in my notebook. I'm more like, what's your favorite color? What do you think about that?
Okay.
And it's just
now I see where Kim is. Okay.
Yeah, you get to know people, and you get to feel their energy, and you can really see see a lot about, or, you know, feel a lot, because he's the thinker, I'm the feeler. So I'm just like, how did I feel about that? Or, you know, how did they answer the questions? It's not necessarily what they're saying, but how are they saying it?
Yeah.
Because really it's giving care. I mean, grooming has been a huge supporter of, you know, cultures, building cultures higher and higher, you know, and like the development of those cultures, it comes from a lot of like taking care of each other.
Yeah.
I think what was that science, some lady went in and she was like, well, a wound was healed. Like one of the bones were mended in this like artifact that she said, well, that's when you know civilization exists, is because someone actually took the time to care for that person and to heal the
I actually
bone.
read that. Yeah, I read that same story. Yeah,
okay.
About that's how they decide when civilization began, is when people who were wounded were taken care of. Because before that, that, in any other species on this planet, if you're wounded, more than likely you're done. Okay. And humans, as a different subset in civilization in and of itself, is the fact that we take something that's wounded, we care for it, and we bring it back. And like, it's just not typical. You know, you even hear of like, you know, animals who eat their young if they have to survive, because they can always make more kids. But in our society, we lose kids, and it's like devastating. It's like a different vibe. And I think, you know, as far as everything goes with Fade Salon and a lot of the alternative, you guys have an alternative vibe. I feel like that was something that was missing here in Kokomo, and there was a huge alternative scene. Like there's like a lot of people that are, you know, love tattoos and piercings and love. I mean, Bohemian does well, and we've got Lucky Raven's doing great right now, and we've got a lot of places downtown that do well. I think there's a Beatnik does well. I mean, there's a lot of great places locally, but I think a lot of people forget, you don't, and you bring it up a lot with your wife, that people that do hair are artists. You're working in color. You're creating something from scratch. You're putting it onto something, and you're seeing if it sticks. And a lot of times you see some of these people that come out and they're like, you know, they look exactly like a piece of art. You know what I mean? And I think that's important for culture. By and large, in a small town, is we've really developed culture in Kokomo. There's lots of sculptures, and there's I feel like there's been a shift, and you guys were part of that shift that actually made this town more accessible to people that want something to be comfortable, beautiful, and great, not just, you know, rigid, old, and kind of like the same as everybody was ready. And now to see everybody contributing in their own way and so many cool things happening is just, it's cool. There's a lot of momentum. I mean, I'm excited for a lot of things. You guys launched, relatively recently. 13 years. Ogle Product. How long have you guys been doing Ogle Products?
Oh man, it's 5.
5? Yeah, 5 or 6.
I'm getting old because I remember when it first came out. And you said you're shipping all around the world now, right? You're doing things all over?
We do, mostly in the U.S.
Yeah.
The shipping overseas is difficult.
Yeah, isn't that rough to do? You're going to have to find somebody like me.
Yeah, it's pretty expensive unless you are able to fill a fulfillment center overseas. Yeah, which we're definitely not that.
What's the top seller? Like, what do you guys like? People are like, we keep coming back to this one thing.
It's a good question. It's pretty consistent. What do you see in the salon?
Oh, we got a lot of people who love the Nag Champa shampoo and conditioner, and the price point, like with the ingredients that are in it, like it's unmatched. Like there's no product, like, and from someone who's been in this industry for 22 years, like, and the wife of the person who is small batch formulating all of these things, like I'd be the first one to say something, and it is phenomenal. Like all of the products. I think that we have some sleepers, but the Nag Champa shampoo and conditioner is probably a crowd favorite. We came out with another, like a lighter, kind of sweeter scent, and that's like my jam. I love the Nag Champa. I actually asked him to formulate it because when I had my locks that I just cut out, you know, I really loved that scent, and I remembered having like a perfume or an oil or something, and I'm like, man, I really want that into a shampoo and conditioner. And then the ball started kind of rolling, and we ended up, you know, he's making these batches, and I just see packages of shipments every single day that are going out, and people that are coming in, people I've never met before, and just raving about it. You know, we do have, I have a girlfriend of mine, and she is so funny. She was mad at me one day. I think we got into like an argument or something, and she was like, you know what? She was like, I don't care if we're mad at each other, we never speak to each other, I'm still going to use your stupid face cream. It's the best. You know, and like right there, because I mean, she was still kind of hot and heated, and I was like, really? Like, she's like, yeah, it's the best, but man, you were such a bitch, you know? And I'm like, yeah, thanks, you know, because, you know, you can really see, you can gauge things when, you know, someone's in the heat of the moment. Yeah. But the face cream is, I can't live without it. Absolutely. He makes me a particular body oil. So the Nag Champa has a body oil. That's probably my favorite. I love that stuff. I could just live in body oil probably. But he does have a reparative, or we have a reparative treatment that it was actually the only thing that got my dreads out of my hair. Yeah. So it's just makes your hair feel like silk, and all of, you know, the damage that I thought was going to be underneath those combs, man. I think the repair treatment definitely saved
the
me.
Complete repair.
The complete repair.
Complete repair. I think that's I have a repair. I think that's this is right. Am I wrong? It's the complete repair system.
Yeah,
here.
That's it.
Yeah,
Heck yeah.
Yep. It was my savior for the last couple of days when I thought all my hair was going to be ripped out, but made it smooth sailing. So it's great for treatments.
Well, that's great when you can use your own stuff to save yourself. You know what I mean?
Well, I think there's a part where like a lot of... Man, I don't like talking smack, but I'm going to. A lot of these companies, man, like,
well, that's why we did it, was to solve a problem. The problem was to get an actual good quality professional product. You had to spend $80 to $100, $120 for a little bottle of something. And we did that in the salon for years, and I was like, man, this is asking a lot of our customers. Yeah. Like, this can't be this way. So that's when I started looking at it, and we started doing chemistry and formulating, and I was like, no, it turns out you can make these. Yeah. For less. And in fact, you can make them better if you're not mass manufacturing than even they are. Yeah. So I was like, well, if I can make it less for less money, and I can make it better, and I can get it to customers for a fraction of the price to them, then this solves a real world problem. And it helps the salon out, you know.
You said it a lot nicer than I was. Just, you know, like they have teams of people who are formulating and trying to reduce cost over and over again. And after a while, that really decreases the value and the quality of the product. Yeah. It's him. He's small batch, like hand making every single thing that someone pumps out. And it's crazy because when I'm telling people, especially like with the face cream and stuff, obviously you're going to have more longevity in like a shampoo or conditioner or a treatment. But with the face cream, it is not made of plastic. Yeah. You know, it doesn't have this scented goop. It's no fragrance, organic. I think elderberry, is that correct? Am I correct?
Yeah, those are all organic.
But it's not like save it for 2 years and slap it on your face type of stuff. And that's just because it's the good stuff. Right. You know?
I think people, that's what they want nowadays anyway. They want something that feels a little bit, I mean, with all the, you know, science around microplastics and how it's on our blood and it's everywhere in us so the fact that you guys are using more organic things and things that are coming from the earth, it changes the entire, like, the math of it. The entire mathematics are just different.
Yeah, that's fun for me. That's the challenge. The fun challenge for me is I try to formulate things with only ingredients that your body can metabolize.
There you go.
Which is it's like a fun jigsaw puzzle, and it fails way more often than it succeeds. Like the face cream was 2 years of constant failure.
That makes sense.
Just imagining you in like a nice like doctor's outfit with like some beakers, and you're like, I got this. I'm gonna figure it out. For sure. I'm gonna figure this out.
It's definitely not like that.
Not at all. It's like, no, I've got it's more like Willy Wonka when she's cleaning the clothes at the end.
Well, that's kind of the coolest thing about it, is there was a disconnect in the industry because chemists were making products for hair companies, and they have no idea what the result's actually supposed to be. Right. Yeah. And so we were working underneath the salon, so we'd get, you know, test number one, and I'd say, okay, what is it you wanted to do better? What is it that could be that could stop doing, you know? So essentially, hairstylists and Lindsey, really their input is what made the formulas what they are.
So you're saying that using something that's for hair and taking it to a real life salon and letting people try it is actually helpful? Is that what you're trying to say? Right. Because some of these companies wouldn't know that.
Making it part of the process is important.
Well, it's a genius concept to go from. I mean, it just tells me how invested you are, because you're talking about, you know, 13 years ago being like, man, I really wish I could control more, you know, but I'm not great at this aspect. And for you to walk in and then almost to solve a problem, and you guys figured it out together, and 13 years later it's a great salon. And then there, you know, 5 years ago there's another problem, like, why are we spending so much money on this? Nobody can afford it. And then you're like, he goes in the back and he's like, I can fix it. He's like, you know, Bob the Builder over here. You know what I mean? I like it. Dustin the Builder. He's like, I'm going to fix this problem. We're going to find a problem. We're going to find a solution. And I think being able to use the resources you have at hand and make it work is a genius thing to do. And it creates another avenue as well, not just for money, but also it kind of creates another stream for your customer to be like, I can go over there and get an okay haircut or get, you know, maybe a similar haircut. It might be the exact same, but do I have access to this? You know, it's one more thing to keep you in the door.
That's a good insight.
Yeah.
I just want to know when you sleep, because like y'all sound like the busiest people ever, but to also think that like you're literally like in a lab throwing together like formulas to make
it needs more eucalyptus. I don't know, I'm just throwing something out. On top of running your businesses, as well as producing your own podcast, formerly known as the Dustin Ogle podcast, but now is, what is it?
I did just change the name to Apathy.
Yeah, it is right here. Everybody go check it out right now on YouTube. You can find it for Dustin Ogle.
Oh, it says uncensored still. Uncensored. Yeah, that's cool.
It's uncensored, guys, just like our podcast.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that comes across wrong.
Yeah.
I'm going to figure this podcast out one of these days.
It's fun.
But my original thought was just put my name up there because there was people I wanted to be able to find it easily.
Right.
Yeah.
And then it occurred to me, I think Lindsey or somebody pointed something out. I was like, oh my gosh, this looks extremely arrogant. Like, I named it me.
Yeah.
But, you know.
Yeah, I mean, you know, nobody else does that Joe Rogan experience.
Yeah.
Experience me, everybody.
Yeah.
I'm 5'7" and bald. No, I love that guy. I love he has such an eclectic amount of guests on as well that talk about everything, and he has like such a wide variety. So I enjoy watching his shows, but also I can get bogged down on that very quickly where I'm like, man, I feel like I'm listening to the same show I listened to last week. So that's kind of why we like to have different people in here and kind of create the vibe, because like as great as this conversation has been so far, this has been probably the most buttoned up episode we ever had. We're talking about adult things. I feel like I'm being an adult right now. You know what I mean? I was trying to do fart jokes earlier. No, I love it. This is great. Go check out his podcast. The name will change, but if you subscribe now, if you follow it now, you'll still be there if the name changes. So if you do that right now,
you'll stay with the name change.
And if you're like, I can't find it, go to dustinogle.com. So I mean, it's still there. You know, you can go there and find it. Fade Salon. You guys got the Coterie going. You guys have got Ogle Products going. You've got
Mother Flockers.
A Faith, Apathia, Mother Flockers. Yeah, we talked about that on here before. I was like, man, I can't have all this bird stuff in my house. I mean, I got cats, man. They're going to freak out. Do you guys have any animals that are like, oh my gosh? Yeah, I mean, do you guys have cats?
We do have a cat.
Are they like freaking out? Like, oh my God.
No. She's very chill. She's very laid back. She enjoys a good feather every now and then.
There you go. Every once in a while, you gotta feed a dog a bone. In this case, a cat a feather. You know what I mean? Yep. That's perfect.
Our daughter actually made her a little cat toy that had some of the feathers on there and was trying to play with her, and she had no interest whatsoever.
Okay, dang it, because Dustin's probably
the feathers.
Looking over like, is this another business we can have? Cat toys? I'm just kidding, Dustin. I love it, man. I'm taking the piss out of you, but you're a very busy guy. Entrepreneurship is hard, man. People. I mean, it can be very rewarding, right? But it's also very difficult to deal with. And like, so when you guys first met how did you guys first meet? I wanted to ask that because I don't know the story. How did you meet? How did you meet?
How did we meet?
We met at a concert.
Oh, what concert? Who was playing?
Twin Cats.
Yeah, I like this story.
Yeah. Well, I don't know how far you want me to go with it, but I'm cool with that. But yeah, we met at a Twin Cats concert.
Yeah, it was nice.
And you know, he hadn't, you know, we were both kind of going through these transitional periods in our life with being single, and so I was kind of in a different place, and he was well, yeah, I think do you want to?
Yeah, I just.
I feel like such a jerk when I say the story.
No, you don't sound like a jerk. You actually sound like a person of high integrity.
Yeah,
that's the truth of the story.
It sounds like you just went up and said nice jugs, and she slapped you, and then later on she was like, actually, I do have nice jugs, and then she went talk to you later. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that. Not really. No, I was in a relationship from 17 years old until then, so I hadn't actually hit on someone, hadn't been single for pretty much my whole life. And that was my first real attempt. And she thought I was still married.
Oh.
And she responded like she should have under that.
Yeah.
That's an integrity
He said,
thing.
can I buy you a drink? I said, why don't you go F your mom and I'll tell your wife that you're hitting on me right now. Bye. And he was just like, okay,
Shit,
that
did not
sounds
go
good.
to plan.
Have a good night. I was like, yeah, fuck you, you know. And that was it. And my friend was with me and she said, Lindsey, like, he's divorced. So I bought a beer and I walked it over to him. I said, I am so sorry that I did that to you. You know, I said, here's a beer. And he's like, you bought me a beer? I'm like, well, yes. And then I said that and just wanted to give
It was sweet.
night.
Yeah, that's a sweet story.
sweet.
I like that.
And then we started hanging out.
Yeah. I like that. So you went from a long relationship to a long relationship. What the hell, Dustin?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You seem to be a serial monogamous, brother.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I felt like that in high school, but I had like middle between. I'd date a girl forever, like a year and a half, forever in high school. You know, you only have 4 years in there. I had 3 girls I dated for over a year in high school. I was like, I didn't really, but in between, I would like date a few girls in between, and then I'd get this reputation, and I'm like, God, Taylor Swift hadn't come out yet. You know what I mean? So luckily there were no songs, but
Yeah, you could make the mistake of thinking that I know what I'm doing.
I've been in that situation though before too, where like I was in a long relationship and then, you know, it was over and everything, and then you go out and somebody's like, aren't you married? No. Well, you're probably lying, but in my case, they were like, oh, no, I'm still fucking anyway. But yeah, I mean that, you know. But I found the wrong Kokomo.
Yeah. There's a couple different versions of it. You know? You can kind of curate your own Kokomo if you want.
Absolutely,
you know,
absolutely.
I think that's with everything. People like to associate a place where they grew up or the place where they're born with a certain type of feeling, and I had this like feeling of like I missed Kokomo. I was gone. I became an adult, and within half a year I was in another country, and then spent 4.5 years in the military away. So when I came home, I was excited to be back, and I felt like I didn't know where I was. Things had changed so much, and I mean, this town moved quick. And then I got back, and people thought I was crazy for wanting to be here. And I'm like, you haven't been out there. It's pretty wild. There's a lot out there. There's people. There's mean people. Did you guys know there's mean people? So
It's a great city.
Yeah.
And I think you do get an affinity if you leave for a while. I did the same thing. I lived in Detroit for 2 years.
Yeah.
And it's like I was young. I was ready to go. I was like, get out of my hometown. The place sucks, you know.
Yeah.
And like 2 years later, I was like, you know what? I miss my town, you know.
Yeah.
And you get like an affinity for it, and you come back, and to see that it is always getting better is that helps.
Yeah.
If it was on the decline, it would be a much tougher argument to make.
Right.
It's such a cool place.
Well, you've got two different versions of that as well, which is the I hate my hometown, I need to leave. And I think we all have a little bit of that in us. And then you have the I hate my hometown, I need to make it better. And I think a lot of people don't take that initiative. You guys seem to have kind of jumped into that. We've kind of done the opposite. We've made it worse in a lot of ways with our jokes. A lot of people, it's taken a while to educate people on what satire is. It's a very nuanced art form. It's a type of writing. People get their feelings hurt.
I want to ask you about that. I have questions about that.
Throw me one.
Oh,
I'm
shoot.
down.
Well, you know, and you have to make it funny because I'll make it too serious.
Yeah, let's do it.
But
my specialty. Keep going.
I love satire. You know, I remember reading Jonathan Swift when I was young. I was an English major and stuff, so I absolutely love the craft.
Yeah.
But I have no idea how you do it now, because it has to be able to be absurd. Yeah, it can't be a good expression of verisimilitude. It can't be something that could really happen.
Yeah.
For it to be satire, it has to have some threshold of absurdity to it. So, but now, how do you find a single thing to say that couldn't possibly be true?
I think I lean towards that reality in when I tell jokes or craft jokes, because like I think things. I take serious things and I'm like, oh, well, that's funny, just kind of as it's serious, because I think I have a warped mind.
Yeah. For me, with this, I was really moved by the story of Charlie Hebdo and everything that happened when, you know, they were doing satire in Europe, and then they basically got killed. He got murdered for doing satire for I mean, it was particularly about a particular religion overseas that we know about, that we don't have here. And it's not as, it was like a Drew Muhammad type of thing or something. Right. And then they did it. They put it in in the paper and he was murdered because of it. And so satire to me is such a sacred thing. The type of satire we do, it's small town, and most towns don't have it. They don't have a version of this. It's popping up more, and I honestly feel like a lot of it has to do with us and a lot of other small places kind of adopting it. A lot of people do it wrong. In my opinion, the way you do it is you set up a series of what I call red herrings, and that's things that normal people will read and say, ah, that's fake. Immediately. The problem is we highly underestimate the intelligence of people or the non-intelligence of people. So people will search out something that hurts their feelings and they will hone in on it, and then that's what they'll be upset about. So regardless of whether, we live in a very, we live in a society now. We live in a society. I feel like the Joker meme right now. We live in a society. But we live in a world with the internet, and the internet connects us, and it also disconnects us in a ton of ways in real life. But with the disconnections and the connections online, what we find is people create these algorithmic microcosms, these what's the echo chambers, if you will, like different echo chambers that they want to exist in, that where everything that they hear, it just tells them they're right. They just want to hear they're right. They just want to know that they're right and that the things that they think in their head are real. Whereas I think somebody like me and people, probably you, and people who actually can be critical will go and like seek out things that are the antithesis of what we believe in order to challenge our beliefs and create a new an entirely new perspective. And it took me a long time to get to that point as a young man, but in my 30s I hit it really quickly. And then when we created the Kokomo press from Kokomo Scanner 2.0, which was a whole different thing, it was very more meme related, and we started doing more satire news. In our head we were like, oh, we're gonna make this obvious, and we did. But that's not enough. People nowadays, they want to believe it. And particularly the kitty litter boxes in the high school. Like that one, we didn't know what we were doing when we did that. When we were setting up a video in our heads, we're like, oh, we want to do a funny video where I dress up like a cat and Brian interviews me. We were just trying to be goofy. So we create this fake email chain that was so littered with red herrings. I mean, it was the ledger was red. It was like it had every. I wish I had it right now on hand to show you, but it was littered with like different things that were just buzzwords that we knew would trigger people. And the article was about them installing kitty litter boxes in the high school for kids who are furry animals. Like it's so bizarre and so incredibly outlandish that we thought, oh, we're gonna do that and then we're gonna piggyback on it and make a video. By the time I got the video out, we'd already had millions of people. USA Today had fact-checked us. We were on Snopes. We had Seth, or what's his name, Cohen, the dude that ran for president for the Libertarian Party was on there in the comments goofing off. It became gigantic, and then we heard them talking about it in Congress. They didn't call us because they probably realized that they were lying, and that was just a better argument for why these gender things are out of control over here. You hear about this stuff in Indiana, man, they've got litter boxes in the bathroom. The kids are peeing in litter boxes. And I'm not saying that there's not some veil of truth in some, in some subsects of society, but
we see this.
We see it all the time.
I mean, there's a whole thing now about like people eating like pets, and that had to that had to been started by a joke. Yeah. I mean, there may be some reality because there's weird people out there, and I don't put that past people, but I don't think there's a whole culture or community of people just like stealing people's like princess like. Buttercup, whatever the fuck, yours,
Snowball,
yeah, and then serving it for dinner or anything like that. But like, these are things that whether they're used for good or bad or whatever, it is a weird part of life where we can invoke emotion on things to people that they should know better than. And like, I don't know. Sometimes I don't feel bad, but sometimes I'm like, man,
it's an education. Really it's an education issue, and I think that's what happens. We've had a lot of, we've gotten a lot of flack. That one was the one we got the most flack for. That one in the top 5 places OD, which was just a direct that was clearly satirical. Like you think we literally are telling people the best places in town to overdose? Like we're not monsters. We've got Narcan up there.
We were just saying less flowers, more Narcan. Yeah, we were trying to goof off, but we did a video. It was a direct response to, and he knows it. We've had a conversation in Larison, and we were every summer there would be, or spring, let's say spring,
overdoses start going up. People stop dropping like flies, and they're out there being like, here's the best place to get a tenderloin in Kokomo, Indiana. Here's the top 5. And I'm like, can we...
There's a problem.
Who's talking about the serious things going on? And I think since then, there has been a lot of effort put into recovery centers and things that are important to help people. Narcan in the library, which people were freaked out about that too. And we're like, why are you freaked out about that? Right. But it's like things to help people in these situations. But for us, when we did like the top 5 places to OD, the whole conversation was like, oh, they're clearly going to know we're goofing off. But they took it. But we wanted to do it in the guise of like, here's the best place though. Come to Cracker Barrel and over. Like, come on, man. They thought we were being for real.
Yeah. So what does that mean, do you think? What does it mean when you can publish something that you think is absurd and obviously untrue and obviously satire? That's how you think it is, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
And then like 1 million people can think they can't think it's true because there's no evidence that it's true, but they it's like they hope that it's true, even though there's no evidence present. What does that mean?
I think when I kind of hit on a little bit there, but mostly people are looking for someone to say what you think is real. And even if they can see in the article that it's clearly not real, if they just read it, like the reporter's name is Seymour Peters. Oh, you didn't catch that one? Like, it's simple stuff like that that people will completely overlook in order to, grift and make money and further their agenda. And if they know they're going to get eyes, they'll post it. And you can make the argument for us, like we're posting it for eyes as well. But to us, we're also writing these articles. We're formulating. I edited the entire video that we put out. It wasn't just like something that we just willy-nilly. We literally thought like, let's make why don't you chill?
I like the posts that we can make that do have a level of realism, whether it's the OD post or things like that, because like they're rooted in, hey, there's a problem here. So we can make fun of it, but like there's really a problem here, and maybe if you see it in this way and it pisses you off, that'll make you want to change it. You know what I mean?
It brings awareness to it in a way that, it's humorous and sometimes it's outlandish, but it also, if it brings eyes to something that's serious and something that needs to be talked about, then that's important at the end of the day to us.
So you guys put serious, like accurate posts and satire up in the same space?
Yeah. I think it's emerged like...
Well, I think it's more like satire based off of things that are serious. So if... like the OD thing, like particularly that one's one that really stuck with me and like was very important for us to do is like this keeps happening. People keep dying. People keep almost dying. This is a serious problem. How do we infuse it and make it? If everybody's going to act like it's not happening, how do we make it? Okay, if we're going to act like it's not happening, let's just act like it's cool and it's part of our culture. Okay, let's go out and find the top 5 places to do it. You know what I mean? And it's overly outlandish on purpose in order to like bring awareness to something. And it's not everybody's cup of tea, but it's also, you know what I'm saying? It's like,
so it's real, but it's still funny.
Yeah.
Even though it's not satire.
Yeah. And even if it's like, we're trying to take the piss out of the concept of like, if you think this doesn't matter, we're going to make it matter to you in the worst way possible.
Yeah.
And then maybe okay, so here's an example. Let's talk about this. One of the guys who's been on your podcast, Kevin Sprinkle. Sprinkle?
Yeah, Kevin Sprinkle.
Is it S, or is there an S or no S? Is it Sprinkle, like singular or plural?
Singular, yeah.
Okay. He was on your podcast, and I saw him, and I was like, how do I know that name? He's one of the people that was on WTHR with us when we were explaining it, because the top 5 places OD, particularly because he worked with a recovery group of some sort. And so he was on there. It's another one of those instances where people who don't know us decide about us and don't ask us. Like if he had asked us why we did it, he might have understood where we were coming from. But a lot of people, they don't understand where we're coming from, don't understand the concept of where these ideas will pop up, and then they'll say, oh, well, this is how they feel. Like, I think that's weird, and so they did. WTHR was kind enough to reach out and ask us our opinion. We explained it. It was to raise awareness. He went on there. He said his opinion, which is it went too far, and I'm like, yeah, but that was kind of the point. It went too far so that people would care and people would give a shit.
People were dying.
Yeah, people were dying. That's farther than anything we've done is ignoring it and watching people die. But then the other part of it is we've had people, who like we had an article done in the local newspaper, the Kokomo Tribune, who they wrote an entire article calling us transphobic about the litter boxes in school, not realizing that we're not transphobic whatsoever, and they didn't even reach out for comment.
Right.
So at least WTHR were journalists and reached out for comment and asked us, whereas, you know, some place like the Tribune, who they could have easily messaged us where it's an easy place to reach us, they just ignored it and didn't ask for comment.
I think with the litter box thing, that was kind of our a response from us to be like, hey, why are you worried about these kids? Just like teach them. Like you don't have to worry about if this one wants to be called this. Just call them that so you can fucking teach them how, you know, when the War of 1812 was. Because if you don't know when it was, that's kind of an issue, right? Yeah. Like, so like maybe you guys are worried about the wrong things. So like I know we caught a lot of flack about that because like people were really pissed, but it's more of those, hey, you're focusing on the wrong things, and maybe if we show you you're focusing on the wrong things, maybe you can get over this shit. Yeah. To focus on the things that you should be focused on.
So you guys feel like, I mean, really, you guys feel like you're doing something positive for the community.
We're trying. Positive. We know that
I mean, it's just fun. Funny is the main goal.
Positive. Yeah. I don't know about positive, but
well,
I mean,
that's the vibe I'm getting. Is you have good intentions.
Yeah, that I will take that. I won't take positive because I don't think making positivity louder or turning up the feel good are beautiful. They're platitudes.
The truth is, you guys definitely operate in very murky waters. It's very confusing, and you're not operating in a space where judgments are based on on facts.
Right. No, we're not. We're not actual journalists.
You guys are. You and the people that are responding we're talking about opinions here, right? And feelings and things that I could never navigate for the public. You guys, so congratulations to you for having the courage to try.
We're trying to navigate funny more than anything, and then also hit important things that we think matter to our community. This is one of the things Jordan says is, you know, we're a community satire, a community comedy and satire page with an emphasis on community, which is why a lot of our stuff has to do with here. And like I said, we're not going to be for everybody. You know, every place is not going to be for everything, every business, every page on Facebook. Like, we have bad blood with a ton of Facebook groups in town because, you know, we don't like the way they operate completely, like Kokomo and the No 2.0. We don't like the way they do things.
I think we have bad blood with businesses in general sometimes.
I don't know any business that likes us.
Yeah, I mean, there's that one place that
there's been moments
about.
Oh, well, that's a hall. That's a hall. Whatever business, but I mean, it's I don't know what you would call it. Venue? It's a venue?
I don't know.
Venue.
They cancel all their shit.
Venue. We get a lot of stuff.
No more shots fired, though.
People get. I think it's an education issue. I think at the end of the day, if you understand what the page, if you go to the page, you know it's a comedy satire page, and then you get upset at an article, then you're willingly trying to be upset because you know it's a satire page. I mean,
that seems unreasonable to me.
Yeah. Exciting things are happening at the Kokomo Press. Yeah, very exciting things. Not only are we bringing you comedy shows, an open mic once a week, skits, videos, funny jokes on our page, and satire news stories, but now you can support us by going to kokomopress.shop. It's that simple. You go to kokomopress.shop, you find a t-shirt, you find a hat, maybe in the future some stickers and some posters. You go on there, you buy one of those from us, and percentage of the proceeds will go to us and help support what we do. We appreciate every person who just likes, subscribes, does all that. But if you go to kokomopress.shop and you buy something, we'll know who you are. You send us a photo of it. We will post it on our page and shout it out. Thank you so much. Go to kokomopress.shop, buy all your shirts and hats needs, and support the Kokomo Press. Thank you guys so much. kokomopress.shop. Yeah.
To be upset about something on any page.
Oh yeah,
like
it shouldn't affect you, right?
Yeah, that's right.
You know, it's fake.
I will say that they've caught me slipping a few times because I read something and I'm like, hold on, and then I'll read it and I'm like, okay, they're bullshit. And
once you read it,
you know, like
we live in a culture of I read the what is it, the headline, and then I walked away. People do that a lot.
You gotta like double eyebrow sometimes, like, and read it again. But I'm like, okay, good, okay, got me, almost got me on that one.
Man, I don't know if
We like culture stuff too, so that's part of the reason why we get in trouble is we hit on culture things that people are already kind of up in arms about in their heads, like oh no, and pearl clutching and things like that. Like I'm a very weird person. I grew up in a very conservative household, but my mom was a union president in a conservative household, and
that's weird.
I know, but we were also very, very poor. I joined the military. I left. I came back to this town, and when I left, I mean, I left in 2000 and the end of 2006, beginning of 2007. What happened? The crash, the car crash, the everything that happened with Chrysler happened, everything that happened with the housing market. I missed it all, and I came home and my family no longer had a house. Even though we were poor, we had our own house, and all of a sudden we didn't have a house anymore. And it was a very bizarre thing to come home to. But then I was like, I want to put my roots back. I want to do something here. And I spent years doing music. That's what I did. I worked with a group called the Right to Play Music. We did 2 festivals downtown. We did a ton of we did a monthly show, all ages for kids downtown, where we booked bands from all over. 5 bands would come in, $5. People would have. We did that for a minute, and then I still do music to this day. I'm still in a band, but I got out of the music thing because it's hard to maintain a scene. That's something that you guys do well at the Coterie. Is you guys bring in a lot of great acts into town, and if you like quality live music, it's a great place to check out and see a lot of great bands that are touring. Probably nationally, right? You guys get people that come in and out of town and go. I mean, I don't know if how involved in that aspect of it you are.
It's secondhand. That's all. That's all Kyle.
Yeah,
sure.
He doesn't meet a stranger.
Yeah,
Kyle.
No, he's so good at it, and he had this dream, this vision, and I helped him make that opportunity possible. That's about all I could take credit for. But like, he always wanted a music scene in this,
yeah.
And we got to a position where he got to take a shot at it, and he did it. It's amazing.
The Riverwalk's great.
Yeah,
I went out there a few times. We've had the reveal on the podcast, and we talked a little bit about them.
Those guys are cool.
They're great.
We like them.
They just dropped an album too. So
I'll have to watch that.
Check out Hieroglyphics. Check it out. It's their brand new album.
And then the lead singer has an amazing name.
Dustin?
Yeah.
McKee.
That's the best joke you're going to get out of me.
There you go. I got it for you. Yeah. You don't want to get this one. This is most of my jokes. Yeah. I'll throw those out there.
I get that one every time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, the truth to be told, as serious as it gets when serious as we get in talking about comedy and satire, because honestly, it does throw people off a lot. Like, people. Yeah.
Have you ever explained it like that on a podcast?
Many times. Every time I've tried. It depends on what subsect of Kokomo or society I hit here, because some people watch this, some people watch that, some people pay attention to this. So,
I want to interject, because sometimes I'm concerned that when having these conversations with people, that we're not actually talking about real life.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is, I know there's this subset of people online that behave in a certain way that does not represent reality. They don't represent the majority. They maybe represent like 0.05% of humans.
Yeah.
But sometimes, man, they can really draw you in.
Yeah.
Like, they have all the noise and all of they control the algorithms with their being provocative.
Yeah.
And sometimes I wonder, like, are we talking about the world, or are we talking about this tiny group of people?
Are we talking dead Earth theory or dead internet theory right now? Is that what we're talking? Have you heard of that?
No, what is that?
You haven't heard dead internet theory? Is the
I'm terrible with conspiracy.
No,
theories.
It's the belief that we're getting to become to the point where the internet is so populated by AI and by algorithms that we've got to a point that most of the things you're seeing on the internet are no longer real people. It's just like, I don't know what just happened there. It's just it's the same thing replicated over and over again, just the algorithm just reproducing over and over to the point where it feeds us what we want, whether or not it's real.
I'm Googling that one.
It's scary. Dead internet.
I don't think that's
I'll go down that rabbit hole.
You don't believe that one?
Oh, I do. I don't think that's a stretch at all. I can tell you right now, if I go on X and I look at the world and then I walk out of this studio, it's a different place.
Oh, yeah.
So one of them's real and one of them isn't.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna guess the virtual world isn't very accurate.
I don't think it is, but a lot of people live there. Yeah. I mean, it's as real to them as it is this is.
Right. And I think those are the people that you're talking about. You're talking to in this.
I don't know, because we had one of those people walk into the Cooper's Pub and get mad at us. So some people take the fake world, the online world, and they bring it into the real world, and they don't know what they're talking about yet. And I feel like, you know, when you escape the matrix and
those people do, they think that everybody is part of this.
Yeah.
And I think more and more people do come out in public and act that way because they can easily think that everybody's extremely angry about this thing that only their group knows about in their algorithm.
It's kind of scary. It gets kind of scary and weird sometimes because, like he said, like, dude did come out to one of our open
Tell me
mics
about
and was
this.
like mad.
What did he do?
It was a joke that we put out, and it wasn't even about him, right?
Yeah.
He just happened to be in it somehow.
Yeah.
Or his name got brought up, and then like he thought that like we had beef with him, and like it wasn't even that. It was a joke that Brian made. Brian posted a what was the mugshot or something like that? Yeah. I don't know. It's always something weird that somebody takes hella serious. But like, he came out to the open mic. We ended up having to appease things by just interviewing him. Yeah, and like telling him we were gonna throw up content for him, and we never did because I don't know.
We were just trying to diffuse because a lot of times that's. I mean, now that we have
a
place,
his own entourage, probably smaller than the Kings. But, you know.
You guys have the most interesting job here.
Yeah, I mean, job is a funny word. Hobby is better. I think hobby is better suited for what we do.
Right,
but
we work at the puzzle factory. We just, you know, which probably tells you about the time that we have on our hands.
We've got a lot of time. I do a lot though. I do a lot, and it's kind of just the way my OCD works. It's not. Doctor hasn't like said I have OCD, but enough people in my life have that I just believe them.
They Googled it.
What is it? They didn't diagnose me. A doctor didn't diagnose me, but my friends, family, and everybody who's ever met me has. I just say, you know what? I just like things a certain way, and they're like, no, that's OCD, and I'm like, you know, I don't know. I'm not going to have a doctor tell me that. So therapists scare me. I feel like they're going to tell me things I don't know, or tell me things about myself that break me. I feel like that happens a lot.
Usually the things that you need most scare you.
Yeah. I don't need a therapist. Well, hold on. You're the one that's being told you need to see a therapist, mister.
I'll be fine.
Yeah. Exactly. See, look how we just push it off.
That's the right attitude, I think.
I didn't say it was
Don't
scary.
let them convince you there's something wrong with you.
No,
there's nothing wrong with me.
Well, I want to bring up a couple articles we have here that'll be pretty fun to talk about. Did you guys see this? Man amputates his own penis and stores inside snow-filled jar after taking magic mushrooms.
Oh, my God.
As a guy who I know,
why'd you put that in my head?
It's a very interesting story. Apparently, he took the magic mushroom. Something told him to cut it off. He came to. He realized it. There was snow on the ground. He threw it in a jar with snow, and they reattached it. So it ended up working out in the long run. But yeah, it says in a gruesome case, which doctors have described as the first of its kind, a 37-year-old man amputated his own penis with an axe after taking magic mushrooms.
An axe? Wait.
An axe.
That's an important detail.
Yeah, it changes the math there a little bit. Hopefully it's like one of the hacksaw, like the tiny ones, you know, like more precision.
Like a hatchet?
Yeah, hatchet.
When you say axe, though, I'm picturing like an ancient warrior with this giant battle axe trying
Viking,
to cut off
no need penis.
And it's cold out, so it has to be a pretty hard target.
He cut it off on a stump. Like there was like processes to it. Like I don't, bro.
Of all the places to have a dash cam, that would have been it.
Yeah. I don't know. At least he probably could have paid for a new penis if he done like that.
Well,
I don't know.
No, you gotta
upgrade.
It's like a puzzle. It has to come back perfectly. You know, we make puzzles at work.
This is making me like
whopping 9. I know it's one of those things.
I'm so glad I don't have a penis. I feel like it would hit so much harder for me.
I haven't done magic.
Go to the bathroom and check on mine.
I haven't done magic mushrooms yet, but I know it's one of those things that eventually.
Where are you going?
Oh, he's going to the restroom.
Oh.
Left down after you make the left here, and it's just on the right. You'll see it right in there. I scared
He's
that.
like got up in a hurry. I thought he was going to go check his penis.
I think he is. I think he's going there.
It's this chair. I think it magically makes people have to go pee.
Yeah, Brian has the same problem all the time. Yeah, he's always like, I got to pee if he sits in that chair. I don't know what it's the green aqua color. I think it kind of throws people off.
It gets me.
I think it scared him with my horrible article.
Where did you get this?
It's off of Unilad. I get a lot of my stories off there. They're wild. They found like wild human interest stories and stuff that are crazy, and that's That's a pretty wild one to imagine that, you know, you'd think you're just going to have a good little trip, and the next thing you know, you're making a trip to the ER. Because that's.
But how would he drive himself if he's that? If he's like that, cutting his penis off. But like, I'm going to drive myself. What did I do? Let me drive myself. You shouldn't drive.
It was removed for 9 hours. It took them. They ended up reattaching it, but it was removed for 9 whole hours before they did.
Oh my God! Still worked. Like
Successfully reattached.
But I mean, like, they can attach it.
Yeah.
Does it work?
Yeah,
it's a good question. I might have to call the guy.
Yeah.
Let me call him. Let me ask him. Hey, man, does it still work?
Yeah. How's that going?
What was, the guy, John Bobbitt? You remember that story when we were younger? Lorena and John.
Did his penis get put back on?
They reattached it, actually, and he was doing porn for a minute, which is pretty wild.
Yeah. Did you see any of the porn?
No. There's something about that story I just could not.
You don't want to watch dismembered dick porn?
No, it's not my thing.
I probably would have looked into.
It's one of
to see if I could see like a mark.
Yeah, it's like Two Girls, One Cup. You kind of have to look at least once. At least once. Not that you want to, but you do. It's more of it. It's a very interesting story. 9 hours it took them 9 hours from when it was severed to when it was back attached. But just tonight, if you ever need a break for about 9 hours, you can take one if you have enough snow.
Absolutely.
So I've thought about a break every once in a while, like just from all the thoughts, and I mean that as the pun intended, double entendre. The thoughts and the thoughts. Ayo. Oh man, that's too much. Did you guys see that they're going to be making a new? Let me see if I can find this. I'm going everywhere. An animated Phil Collins biopic is in the works that will take place in the world of Grand Theft Auto, and Collins will voice himself. Who asked for this?
Gamers did, yeah. You don't know the Phil Collins community runs really deep in there. I hear they're really interlinked with GTA 5. There's a whole subset and some bullshit. I just made all that up.
You are so good at that. I was like, man, I was like, tell me more. I love Phil Collins.
Yeah. I was looking for some understanding of this Phil Collins thing. I thought you had it.
No. Wait,
no,
I don't understand it. Is that real?
Absolutely. This is real.
Oh, okay.
There's a real LAtimes.com/entertainment. Yeah, an animated Phil Collins biopic is in the works. It feels interesting. It's an interesting artistic, way to go about it is to use a world that people have seen before. We don't really use that form of drawing. What is that called?
But if you're going to pick
illustration,
somebody,
animation,
interesting choice.
His story. He was in The Police, right?
No.
What's he in? I thought he was in The Police. He's the drummer for The Police.
Oh, I don't remember.
Am I crazy? No, the drummer for The Police is somebody else. Never mind. I was watching his stuff last night. Steven something.
Yeah.
What's he? He was the drummer for another band for a while before he was just Phil Collins.
I don't know. He can hear you calling.
Yeah, I hear you calling. He can hear it in the air tonight.
Yeah, in the air.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah.
Oh, Lord. He's very talented. If he's going to do this, I'll tune in. I'll check it out.
I can see how that fits the GTA dynamic, though. So,
were you guys at all upset when you heard the Diddy story about all the baby oil and why didn't he just get Ogle Products? He could have just used our oil. It would have been. Look, I got them both the face palm. No, same dual face palm of me. That's such a wild story. 1,000. I saw this that they were talking about reopening. The Tupac's family hires a lawyer to investigate Diddy's links.
I thought dude already confessed. There was a guy just recently that was like, I shot Tupac.
Yeah.
I watched the Lil' Kim where she went to the Medium.
Oh man,
did you see that one?
Oh no,
and they were talking about Biggie and Tupac and yeah, he was giving her some answers. I saw the clips.
Yeah, I believe it.
He's probably thinking, man, I gotta watch my back. Probably. But I kind of went down the rabbit hole the other day, and I picked that one up. I thought it was sweet.
Yeah, the baby oil to me, use something from Ogle Products instead. Okay?
Yeah.
Have you thought about developing your own line of lubrication?
we do have one.
Oh my God, that is awesome! I didn't know that.
It's actually like eating vitamins.
Oh.
While doing whatever you want to do.
The only
How do I not know about this?
The only thing it's made out of is coconut oil, grapeseed oil, and vitamin E organic oil extract.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Can you take it like through your dermis? Is it a dermis?
Well,
You can take
I
a lot of things with it.
That's it.
Yeah, there you get it. That's a good joke. That's a good joke. She was ready for it.
I've been thinking so hard of how to be funny. I'm like, I'm going to get one.
You got one. That's good. I like it. Yeah, I mean, I read this, and that's the exact same thing I saw. Elton John lists all the organs he's had removed, revealing there's not much left in him. And I was like, what about all the organs you've had in truth? Oh. You know, the other version of it, you know what I mean?
Give and
All
take.
the organs put into him.
Yeah, he's had a lot of organs taken and received.
And received, yeah.
Yeah, a little bit of both.
Man, I love Elton John.
He's so good. He's just a very talented man. I could listen to him sing anytime. Rocket Man, you know, we can listen. In the Air. No, that's Phil Collins again.
I think he's the very first black queen.
Oh yeah,
It's
true.
Yeah, I think we adopted him. I think
Oh,
so.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. There might be some other people that are upset about that.
I don't really care. Let's be hot and
And the defender of Michael Jackson.
Yeah, you know, they were friends. You know, it's
Yeah.
one of those things. That's something that I've noticed too with cancel culture. With everything that we've gone through, is that a lot of people, when they get canceled, or when their friends get canceled, they just don't want to be a part of it and don't want to be associated. So for their own friends under the bus, and then sometimes you find out that wasn't true. And I'm like, man, you lost a friend because you couldn't make a phone call and be like, hey, what's going on here?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You know, I almost lost this guy. Just kidding.
I know.
I'm not gonna lose you. You'll be there.
Well, we're inked up now, so like,
We did go to Lucky Raven and get.
We're officially
tattoos.
a toxic relationship.
We're in a band. We're in that part of our band. Yeah, 3 out of 4 of us. Brian's still holding off right now.
Yeah,
for
he's
more
undecided.
That's the one that pees.
Yeah.
Pees a lot.
He pees a lot.
He pees a lot.
He's the pee guy. It's that chair. We think it's that chair.
Oh, you're in Brian's pee chair.
Yeah, he's in the pee chair. No, he gets up every time, so he does.
okay.
Yeah. He doesn't pee in the chair.
Yeah.
That's good.
Not anymore. Not since we had to get a new chair, but that's a new one. I'm just kidding.
It only happened that one time. We didn't judge him. We made him drink. So
We did wear diapers on the show one time. That was true. That was a wild one. We did wear diapers. We've done a lot of weird stuff.
Did you go in it?
It was outside of the pants. But to answer your question, yes. I'm just kidding. Yeah, we went downtown for First Friday this last week, and we were giving out candy to all the kids, and a kid showed up, and there's a Jeffy. You ever heard of Jeffy? There's like a YouTube series, like a kid with a pencil in his nose, and he wears like a helmet and I don't know. The kids like it. I've never watched it, but I guess Brian loved it. He thought it was the best costume he'd seen all day.
I've seen Jeffy before.
Yeah, see?
It's kind of like a Crane Acres.
Yeah, that's what it reminds me of. Yeah. You guys remember Crank Acres? You know?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, back in the day.
Back in the day when you could tell somebody what channel it was on.
Yeah.
And they could just go watch it.
Yeah, terrestrial TV is done.
Yeah.
Like, it's done for. Like, do you watch anything on terrestrial? I don't.
I haven't had network TV in over 15 years.
Yeah. I'm just spending all my time on YouTube and TikTok.
Basically.
And Reels. Oh, and YouTube TV when I watch sports. That's the only thing I would use terrestrial TV for is sports. And I know from based on previous story earlier that you're probably not. Are you into any sport at all?
I like sports.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was a wrestler, but I like football. Watching football.
Football's fun. Yeah.
Mostly, I like seeing them live. The best.
You're a pretty good wrestler, if I remember. We're not to bring up illicit things or anything, but we both went to Taylor, correct?
Yeah,
so-
that's right. Oh boy.
Yeah. But you were pretty good wrestler,
He's
if I
badass.
remember.
I was the worst wrestler that ever wrestled there, and I became one of the best. So I got to be both.
That's what's up.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's cool. I mean, they're wrestling with a lot out there right now, so hopefully they can handle it.
They are.
It's just a lot. I think Mr. Deshaun's going to handle it. I think if anybody's going to take care of it, it's going to be that guy.
I don't know. I like them.
Put some faith in him.
Yeah.
Put a little faith in me. That's
That was
my
so good.
Thank you. I've been working really hard on my.
For me.
I gotta get the right tone. I think you
You did.
Yeah, I'm
I
just
feel
trying
like you did.
No, I did. Also, this is in the news, Jordan. I figured I'd talk about the Trey Parker, Matt Stone, and Kendrick Lamar's upcoming comedy. We talked about this before.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
where
cool.
Paramount Pictures is now filming. The film follows a black man interning as a slave reenactor at a living history museum. While working there, he learns his white girlfriend's ancestors once owned his ancestors. Releasing in theaters July 4th, 2025.
I thought Am I Racist is already out in theaters.
That's confusing.
Is that real?
Yeah, absolutely. It's why
Okay,
it
that
seems
one's
fake.
real.
It's
Okay.
absolutely real.
When you start
Wow.
with those two names, it's going to be real.
Yeah.
They're the only
interesting.
people like exempt from cancel culture.
Oh, absolutely.
They just so happen to start first. And,
I'm just trying to think of the
grandfather den.
the South Park creators.
Trey Parker and Matt
okay.
Stone.
I was like, I have no idea who
I was going to say
people
the
are.
creators of Basketball, one of the greatest movies of all time. I love that movie.
That is a good one.
The Book of Mormon, that's a good one too. Have you seen any of those? Team America, World Police?
Well, yeah. I saw that the puppet from Team America. I saw him speaking at the vice presidential debate the other day. Like, that was fun.
Are you talking about Tim Waltz or the
I don't
other
know.
one?
They kind of both look like
the beard's
puppets.
weird guy.
Yeah.
The beard's weird.
No, I think JD Vance. He really does look like a Team America puppet.
Well, I did have one thing. I did read an article that came out, or there was an article that said, yes, Vance beard matters. Vance was the first White House wannabe to wear facial hair in 80 years. Research indicates that voters see beards as more masculine.
Oh.
That can be positive to some, but to others, especially women, it can be negative, conveying aggression and opposition to feminist ideals. As someone who works particularly in beards, do you find them aggressive?
I have a mustache.
We all do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I really do. Like
Yeah, we all do.
I've had to spend a lot of money to try to laser this shit off, and I'm only at like 90%. I think I got to go back.
Yeah? Is it
I am
fun?
French. You see these pits in the lip. So if people want to have facial hair,
Yeah.
whatever, absolutely.
I just can't believe that was political commentary.
Yeah.
There was no commentary in there about an actual issue that would matter to a single person on the planet.
not whatsoever.
But it seemed important the way they
Oh,
said
yeah.
it.
And the way they circled the beard was like, oh, my God.
Oh, the persuasion.
Oh man, we really got to get people. I shave my beard. I don't typically have a bigger beard. My girl gives me crap because my face is too much of an oval. So I shaved it down, and now she's mad that I shaved it down. And she's like, "You look like that vice president guy."
Well, that's
It's like, thanks a lot.
Oh,
that's
man.
strange
Is that
to
bad
me.
or good?
That
Furniture
I don't know.
stores.
the article that you just put up about it might be, what is it, aggressive towards like feminist ideals.
Yeah.
A lot of my feminist friends, they don't shave their armpits, their legs, their, you know what I mean? Like they just letting it go, which is great.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah,
mind.
do you, boo?
I just don't think that it would bother my personal feminist friends. I don't know, but I can't speak for the masses, but I would think that feminine women would not give a shit what's on their face.
Absolutely.
It's what's coming out of their mouth.
Right?
The thing is, I
Right?
don't think you should give a shit what somebody else gives a shit about in that way.
I mean, you're right.
This might be the most provocative thing that I'll ever say, but it's crazy to me that it is that I think people are responsible for their own feelings that happen inside their own head. I'm not responsible for their feelings.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely, I agree.
People seem to say they agree, and absolutely in real life, but somehow there's these huge.
I think you can be correct, but also the way in which you respond to other people's feelings are important. So I think you're absolutely right. I think I've had that conversation with my girl before, where somebody will say, I always get I had a shirt that said like, no, I'm not gaslighting you. You're just crazy. Like it was like a stupid joke. Like it's obviously a joke. Like gaslighting's not real. You're just crazy. Something like that.
Right. Like if it's egregious, I understand.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean? But any like super sensitive thing that makes a person triggered, like that person's responsible for,
absolutely.
for themselves.
Feelings, when people say you're invalidating my feelings, I'm always like, well,
it's not
feelings
my job.
Can be invalidated, like cannot be validated. You can have feelings that are invalid. And a good example is if somebody comes in and says, if a doctor comes out and says, sorry, ma'am, your mother died, and you start crying and you have all these emotions flood into you, and then they realize they went to the wrong family.
Oh, God.
Okay, guess what? Those feelings were real, but they were also invalid because that wasn't a real situation. So I think people can embiggen things in their head. They can start to think, and you can have a valid feeling about something that you felt, but it doesn't mean the situation that you had feelings for was a real thing. So let me explain where I'm coming from, and then if we're still at an impasse where your feelings are, I can try to help mitigate it. But I think as men, it's that logical side for me where I'm like,
And then it gets weird when they tried to infringe on you with that idea. Like, you know, you have to shave your beard now because it makes me feel like you're aggressive. You know, that sounds crazy when you say it out loud, but those kinds of things are really happening.
They are.
Oh, it happens.
We just read the political article.
You look scary. Change yourself. Like that's a weird thing. That's a whole weird thing to tell somebody. But
what about? Let's get into this then. What about cultural appropriation? How do you feel about that? Like, because I mean, that's another thing where people have a feeling about something.
I think,
but that's kind of what this country is. It's a melting pot of cultures.
I think we go too far in that sometimes, and also I think we as people or sects of people, we take ownership of shit that isn't even ours in the first place. Either. Yeah, but it's not that shit doesn't happen. It like there are people that like openly appropriate other people's culture, but don't even want to like incorporate themselves into that culture. Like I think that is wrong. If you aren't willing to listen, to hear, to be accepting of that culture, but you're willing to just take from it, there's a problem there, right? It's
about money, right?
Yeah.
It's weird to me when people like, particularly like with like dreadlocks or like hoop earrings, like those two things were like, oh, those are hoop earrings are particularly like Latino culture and dreadlocks are black culture, but really like we know throughout history, like the Vikings had dreads, everybody's had dreads.
Things like that is weird.
I have a funny story.
Oh, let's hear that. I definitely want to hear it. Did you get hit?
So 9 years of having locks, I really did not get any crap. Except for one day. One day I go into this diner and this woman, a white woman.
Typically. They're the ones that get mad.
This makes sense.
But I was getting some food and, you know, she had made a comment that my locks were cultural appropriation. And I said, okay. Can you clarify? Can you explain that to me? Because I'd like to know where you think that, you know, I'm appropriating this. And, you know, she was going on and, you know, she lists out like the number of black friends she has. I'm like, oh, yes, great. Yeah. So that's the number of black friends you had. Okay, great. You know, and we're kind of having this conversation. I said, well, I just wanted to know if you were from Norway or Scandinavia. Yeah. And she's like, excuse me? I said, well, you are appropriating that blonde hair because I can see those brown ass roots popping out your skull, sis. And she's looking at me and I'm looking at her. And I said, you know, I feel like this conversation is for people who like to put people in boxes because they're so dumb. Yeah. And, you know, what's the other side of appropriation? Appreciation. Yeah. And if you think about it, there's a low amount of appreciation for damn near a lot of things, honestly. You're not lying. So when, you know, I feel, especially in the job that I do, no one would be able to do anything. Yeah. We would not be able to, because it's all coming from all of these different, you know, areas. Absolutely. And, you know, like, it's like, embrace it.
This certain people a certain way to make this. It's weird. It's just weird. Because and segregation and cool, right? So like
2 days ago, I would have had dreadlocks and these big ass hoop earrings on, and I've been talking just the same. Oh yeah, you know.
Well, I did bring them up particularly just because I didn't know if you had heard it. I mean, it's interesting because like I've heard a lot. You hear a lot of people say. I mean, cancel to me. A lot of people that cancel or want to cancel people are typically people who want to cancel you on behalf of somebody else. I'm offended on behalf of, and I'm like, how about if it's you? I'll have that conversation. Like if I have dreads and I'm a white guy and a black man or a black woman wants to talk to me about how they feel like it's a cultural appropriation, I'll have that conversation. I mean, I'll tell you where I'm coming from. I can only be honest to who I am and tell you, because I mean, I get a lot of it, like with the stuff that I'm into. I'm into a lot of black culture, always have been. All my best friends growing up were always black guys. Like I just always gravitated towards their culture and the types of things. And a lot of it had to do with just growing up in poverty. And those were the people I was around, and I just soaked it all up. And I loved hip hop. I loved R&B. I sang R&B growing up my whole life and did it pretty well, to the point that I was at work talking to a girl and she was on FaceTime with another girl, and the other girl was like, hey, is that Jordan Grainger? And she's a black girl, and she's like, oh yeah, it's George. She's like, man, you got to have him sing for you. He sounds like a black man. I was like, oh my God. And it made me laugh because I'm like, that's what I grew up in. If I grew up in another area, maybe I would have done rock tunes or something. You know what I mean? But I was developed in who I am as a person in black culture. And, you know, if I like it and I'm part of it and I don't take from it. I think that's a good way to explain it. Because, I mean, when you think of, that's why Post Malone gets a lot of shit. You know, somebody like him is because he came up through black culture, didn't really give a lot to it, then immediately escaped as soon as he was famous, and that to me
I think
is
he
weird.
got lucky in a sense, which is weird. Like, he got lucky doing a thing that people were like, "Oh, that's really cool," and then like they tried to put him in a box where they're like, "Oh, now you don't do that thing all the time." Like, "Oh, you just did that thing for the thing." Yeah. So.
It always comes down to, it's very difficult to tell what someone's intentions were like. Do they have mens rea? Were they trying to actually steal something from a culture?
Right.
Does that mean that they hate that culture? Or what does it all mean?
Right.
Yeah.
To me, it always seems like one of those problems. Cultural appropriation is one of those problems where you just can't stare at it too long and expect to get to unity.
Yeah.
Like, it will
Absolutely.
never happen. It's impossible. It just draws more lines between shit.
Yeah.
I agree.
You said mens rea. She said this girl wasn't legally blonde. That's all I could think of when you say mens rea. So,
Arrest this woman.
Well, I did see her years later, and she stopped coloring her hair. And I felt like such a
you
jerk.
got her. You got to the insecurity, and you didn't know it.
All natural, and
Oh
I
my
thought,
God.
But you know,
How natural? Did she have
we were
dreads?
talking about earlier. Yeah, how natural did she get? You know, we were talking earlier about like narcissism, like, you know, and I was thinking, God, that's so narcissistic to think that I would have that much power over somebody. But maybe I did.
Yeah.
You know, because it's true. It's like I work
Maybe
in
the
an
truth
industry
just
where
has
we
power.
embrace all of that. You know,
Yeah.
and in 10 years of wearing my hair like that, because it was about to be 10, I really didn't have any other, I couldn't
That's
tell you about
good.
any other negative exchange or something that made me, like, it was all love and support. And
I'm glad you cut him off for Kim and Harris. I was going to talk about it the whole time. Just kidding.
yeah.
I don't care at all.
I was going to flip
It's things like that.
It's also very much a U.S. thing. As
Oh,
far
yeah.
as I can
Yeah.
tell, like, I've traveled to 20, 30 different countries, and nobody talks about this shit.
Yeah.
No, they're not.
I mean,
they're busy.
And if they see somebody dressed up as their culture, they really don't care. They think it's hilarious.
Yeah,
They're like,
yeah.
"Oh, cool. He thinks he's cool like us."
I was
Yeah.
when I was in Germany for a time. Like, I can remember different cultures of people and thinking, this is weird. They're not fighting, and I'm like, but it was so weird that like everywhere else embodies different people.
Yeah.
Or invites different people, or appreciates or different people without judgment a lot better than we do. It's weird.
I think you're right. I think we are the ultimate melting pot of like a country. I think we have so many different people from all over the world and from different places, and we bring people. I mean, the border's bringing people every day. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to get political, but you know, there's a lot of people coming in and acquiescing, or at least we're trying to acquiesce them into like what we're doing as a society. And I think when it comes to that, if you don't take cultures and you learn from them and you grow and you incorporate them, I think then people will feel like they're the outsider. So it's like you kind of are damned if you do, damned if you don't. You either have to incorporate it and then be considered a cultural appropriator, or you don't appropriate it and then you're like othering them. And it's like, how do we win here? I just think we talk too much about this shit.
Right. Well,
Sometimes.
and we're afraid of confrontation. You know, like confrontation's a big part of it, and this is a good place to make that point. Is I think from my perspective, the U.S. has like the highest racial confrontation. I would say the highest racial conflict of any place I've ever been, but we have the least amount of racism.
Yeah.
The reason we have the least amount of racism is because we have the most amount of racial conflict.
Yeah.
Like, we have to deal with it. We don't have a choice. There's a lot of races around us. And I've been to countries that are not diverse.
Right.
Those people are very racist.
Oh, yeah.
Extremely racist. Now, there isn't racial confrontations or conflict happening there because there's only one race of people.
Typically,
right? Yeah, but that's not... So I think it's a good idea to have those confrontations.
Yeah, I had a very interesting situation happen overseas in Italy when I was stationed there. You always get assigned like somebody who's higher ranked than you that kind of shows you the ropes for the first like month or month and a half you're somewhere, especially in the Navy because we move port to port so often. And I had an older black woman, and Washington was her last name, and she would take me and show me all the places and like try to get me to get out of my, because what they don't want you to do is get there and just stay on base and stay in your little American world. They want you to go out and explore and become a part of everything. And I remember her taking me out to a supermercado there, and just the amount of looks we both got, and then the conversation over there, black women were primarily prostitutes that came from Africa. So to them, they see a black woman and immediately think that she's like a piece of meat. Like they thought that I was with a prostitute. Meanwhile, I'm with like a person I respect and trust and is like literally controlling, like helping me to get out of my shell. Like I respect her more than anything. But it's just a bizarre situation where like people always say we're a very misogynist country. And I'm like, you've not seen Italians then, because I've never seen more I've seen a guy, I was in a truck with a guy and he pulled over to catcall. I'm like, typically we're working and we see a girl. That's our depiction of catcalling is we're doing something like, hey, yo, girl, sugar tits or whatever the hell they say. And whereas over there, this guy pulled over his fucking truck on the job and was like, hey, yo, $55. Like basically trying to pay a girl for, and I'm like, that has to work 0% of the time. Like, why did he do this? Like, it just doesn't seem.
Don't go with 0.
Yeah, okay.
Because if it didn't work, he would not do it.
Happened one time for him.
Yeah.
He also used to swim in whatever perfume, cologne. He would show up and you'd smell him before he was in the room. It was insane.
It worked once. It probably worked twice.
Yeah. And he couldn't say Jordan. He had a problem saying Jordan, so he called me Joan. So I think he thought my name was John.
That makes sense.
I never corrected him because I'm like, you know what? At least you're attempting to say my name. The Italian men are a very different type of man. Man, it's different, man. They're masculine as hell over there, but there is like when I was like, oh, this is what toxic masculinity is. I'm just kidding. No,
I'm
to me,
I'm
they're
curious.
great.
You said that there's a perspective out there that the U.S. is misogynistic.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of it.
Wow, that is the craziest.
Well, think about the fact
I'm
that
not saying it can't be true, but it goes against all the evidence I've ever accumulated.
It's the same with the race thing. It's the exact same. Like they bring up the the wage gap and how women only, and there's a rape culture on campus and different things. And I'm not saying none of that's not true in some regard, but I am saying that like we talk about these things more than other countries do. Most other countries don't deal with cultural issues the same way in which we do in the public sphere, which is what you were saying with race. I think it's the same with like men's and women's issues or the trans and gender and sexual orientations. We talk about it as a society more. We're more involved in it. Because we're a melting pot, we feel like we have to entertain everybody's ideas.
But these people are aware there are actual misogynistic countries where there are laws against women because they're women.
Yeah, I know.
I think a lot of these polls poll people that have never left their house or their room or that
goes back to earlier point.
That's the good point. It could just be relativism.
It really, really could be. I don't generally trust the polls or a whole lot of things, but like I know there are countries that like women can't even breathe without asking, and like it's like
yeah.
It's horrible. They're treated badly. And then we look here where like we have issues. We have issues with women's rights and things like that. But like it's not the most bad. Whether it's like women's issues or race issues or different things. We are not the most worst off scenario ever. We have bad. Yeah. We can fix some things, but like we're never like the worst of the worst.
Yeah, there's been a lot worse out there.
Yeah,
especially I saw this too. This was bring some levity. In 1932, Australia declared war against emus who had been destroying the country's crops. Soldiers armed with machine guns were sent into combat, but were easily outmaneuvered, and the emus won the so-called war. So we're trying to win a war on culture here. At least we're not fighting emus. We might actually lose.
That really makes me want to try to wrestle an emu.
I know, right? Doesn't it just make you want to go to war with emus?
Like it just see this. They don't even have arms.
Yeah, it says 1932, so I imagine America, we didn't make it over there yet. Like there wasn't some type of.
We didn't send troops.
We should have. If we would have sent troops, maybe.
I don't know. I feel like
at least like $7 billion in assistance.
The new, It's Australia. The new axis of evil are the emus, the kangaroos, and those gigantic snakes that keep coming after you. Man, and then we got to go down there and take them.
I fuck with some kangaroo. That shit tastes good.
You've ate kangaroo before.
It's good, bro. Yeah. I advocate for it. I'll eat one. Yeah.
How old was the kangaroo? Did you ask the age?
I don't know. This was a time before I really focused on consent, so I don't know.
Yeah, I hope you always focus on consent, brother.
I didn't know what I didn't know.
Yeah. With kangaroo, where did you eat it at? In Germany?
It was at a German like hibachi restaurant.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
They say don't get sushi in Indiana. Maybe you shouldn't get kangaroo.
No, that's
in Germany.
I don't even care. That
So I
shit
was
was
thinking, I'm
lit.
like, that's
Not hibachi. It was like Mongolian or whatever. So yeah,
Mongol makes a lot more sense than hibachi.
Do Australians eat roux?
I'd assume they do.
Maybe they're Aborigines. I mean, that would make sense. They'd probably go for whatever they can get.
They got like a bunch of kangaroos down there, right? Like. Just like we got cows.
I think
right?
it's problematic in some
I'd eat
areas.
it. Yeah, so you probably get.
They're
probably
muscly.
Videos of like Australian guys.
It tastes like beef.
Fist fighting.
They might have lied to me, honestly. It might have just been cow, but it was.
Yeah, they're like, watch
Oh my
tell this
God.
guy it's kangaroo.
No, they sold them somebody's FIFO. It's their FIFO. So they're, sure little. You ate dog. I didn't even know.
It might.
You hate
So it was one of those things where they have the raw meats like out, and you're like, oh, I want a little bit of that, and then they cook it in front of you and shit, and then you're like, oh yeah. So it could have been dog food.
They're like,
not wrong.
Right. This guy isn't German, so we can just say whatever we want. Ah, it's kangaroo, and you're like, fuck yeah.
I was like, juice. That's the only word.
Kangaroo is delicious. I saw this in the paper the other day. This is actually a very interesting story that I actually have a little bit of insight on. So, buried 80s year. Let's ignore the ex-Taylor coach thing. I don't care about that.
I was so confused.
I know, it was on the front of there. Buried 80 years later. So there was a man from who passed away in World War II, died in World War II, and his remains were put into France, and they didn't know who he was. Well, they finally got the DNA evidence, his dog tags, and they found him. He's from Kokomo.
Oh, shit.
His family lives here. It's actually my mom's roommate's grandpa.
Oh, wow.
Roth Clendine, and his last name was Brown, but Private, I think it's Private or Corporal Brown. He came back home this weekend. They finally had a funeral for a man who was buried in an unmarked grave in France for a long time, and they sent his remains back home. And so this actually happened in Kokomo. It's a great story of, and this guy right here, he's Stephen Brown. He was in the Marines, and he followed his grandpa into the Marines when this happened, and that's him putting his hand on the casket of his grandpa who finally made it home.
Oh, wow.
So pretty crazy. Or his great grandpa, I guess you would say. But I saw that in the paper. I was like, if I'm going to throw a little shot at him earlier, Spencer Durham, message me. I'll come at you. Me and that guy are going to fight one day. No, I'm just kidding. I just like, he's a nice kid. I know he's like a young guy, but me and him, he never asked for my quote. And I was like, I want to put a quote in, damn it. Give me a quote.
We can't be fighting with the Kokomo Tribune.
I know.
They're not. They're Canadian anyways.
They're Canadian?
Yeah, bro.
When did they get?
I don't know. They used to be.
Did they used to be a Canadian company?
Legitimately.
Like their parent company was Canadian?
Yeah.
That seems scary to me. What if Trudeau is slowly taking over our town
Build back
paper?
better, bro.
Gosh dang it. Don't bring up that. We talked a little about this earlier in the week, but I do want to talk. Are you guys interested? Did you guys watch SpongeBob? You guys interested in SpongeBob?
It's been a while.
They got
I feel like
Krabby
Dustin
Patty.
watches a lot of SpongeBob.
Krabby Patties
Like,
are coming to
you've
Wendy's.
seen mine.
I think this is awesome. I'm excited to have my first Krabby Patty, and they've got a pineapple under the sea Frosty, which I'm excited about. I think my kids are going to be excited. They love SpongeBob, man. They're obsessed.
Those Krabby Patties always did look good.
They looked better.
Yeah, I want to see one in real life.
It's probably just going to be a regular Wendy's burger. They're going to get us. SpongeBob isn't back there making it like doo-doo-doo.
I mean,
Are Krabby Patties beef or are they crab?
That's a good question.
that is a real.
It'd be hard to get beef at the bottom of the ocean.
I don't want to smell crab.
No.
Wendy's.
No.
I don't think that'd smell good.
Yeah, I want a Baconator with crab. Imitation crab,
Put a
please.
little crab on it.
You guys have really great burgers at the Coterie. I'll tell you that much. I had the imitation Mac before. That thing was better than any Big Mac I've ever had. And I love
Trashy
Big
Mac.
The trashy Mac
That's
is
what it is.
good.
It's actually really, the fries are good. Brian and I, when we sat down and we met with Cooper's Pub, this is a hilarious story. We love you, Jackie, sorry. But we sat down with Cooper's Pub and we signed our deal to work with them for our mics and do our stuff there. Brian and I left there, went down to the Coterie and had trashy Macs. I was like, that's kind of mean, but like, the last time I'd had a burger at Cooper's, I wasn't a big fan of. Since then, she's done a great job revamping their menu. It's very good now. But when
They're pretty new, right?
Yeah, they're relatively,
Yeah.
I think they've been down there for about 5 years, but she took over in the last like year and a half or something like that.
Yeah, I went with my friend Laura, and we kind of had like this little girls' night for karaoke, and I'm like, this is so much fun.
They do a good job with
that.
that.
Karaoke.
Their karaoke, the guy that runs it, Ryan Handy Tunes, it's phenomenal because he has the board in front of you and the board for everybody else. So you have your own little You can look down and like, because
nice.
that's saying.
Nice.
So I like that. He's got a nice little setup there, and he's a sweet guy. Anytime I go in there and sing sometimes, and they're always like, "Oh, they're gonna sing for us." I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Oh, you think you're funny and you can sing? Get the fuck out of here."
Yeah.
Like, I know, I can't, but I try to do songs that are crowd pleasers. You know, I did "Welcome to the Internet" by Bo Burnham. Have you ever heard that song? Welcome to the Internet. He did a funny. He's a comedian who did like a COVID thing called Inside. If you ever like want to watch like a guy lose his mind, it's a really cool piece of art.
Nice.
With a lot of different music, but it's called Inside. It's on Netflix.
Jordan, I feel like you have like all the tea. Like you just know all this. You just know like
I'm well read, but not like this kind of guy's read. He's well read in like the things that are important. I'm well read in like trash. I'm a trash person.
You're willing.
I'm a trash man.
You're willing to stare into the abyss. Man.
I do, man, and I wink.
do.
I wink at it. I'm like, hey.
I enjoy a good
admirable.
story. Like you know what I mean? Just like kind of what's going on. I'm so like, I'm.
You into the true crime stuff? You ever get into that?
That I get scared watching Hocus Pocus, so I have to be very careful about like even if it has a shark. If an animal gets hurt or a child gets hurt, I'm out. I can't see it. I'm blind to the world. I have to go somewhere.
Get me
else.
out of here.
It'll tear me apart.
I don't watch horror films for that reason. It's not that I'm scared necessarily. It's just that like I see no entertainment value for me to be scared. I don't want to be scared.
I don't like being
There's enough things in my life that are scary. I don't want to be scared for fun.
Yeah.
If I'm gonna try to have a good time, I want to watch like what was I watching last night? I was gonna watch that new Civil War on Max. Have you seen that? The A24 film. It's got who does it have in it? It's got a good cast, and I can't remember the guy that they always call Fat Damon. I hate saying that. I hate saying it because he's a great actor, but they call him Fat Damon because he looks like a fatter version of Matt Damon.
Oh God,
he just does. But he's a great
I know
actor.
who you're talking about.
His wife's in it too. Kirsten Dunst is his wife. Oh my God.
Yeah.
We both figured it out.
Gosh, I'm totally vibing on pop culture.
There you go.
Pop culture. Pop culture. That's what I mean. I love pop culture stuff. Like it's kind of mostly what this show is. A lot of the times is the comedy and pop culture stuff because I like to hit on like wacky news and like crazy things that happen and get people's insane opinions on them because it's like. This is our culture that we're allowing to exist. So let's talk about how horrible these things are. Like a guy amputating his penis, or
we're here. It's happening. How do you feel about it?
Yeah. I was this one came out as well. This was an interesting story here. The legacy of the Highwayman. As you know, Willie Nelson is the last surviving member of the Highwaymen after the loss of Johnny Cash, Waylon Jennings, and the recent loss of Chris Christopherson, which they were a great music group. And all I could think of, because I'm a crazy comedian brain guy, is he's the last of the Highwayman. He's the way high man because it's Willie Nelson. So that's just a joke I wrote.
It's pretty.
Hit the button. Yeah,
I knew what you knew, man.
Yeah, I know you did.
He went from the Highwayman to the way high man. No, but I mean, it's crazy. Like that, Chris Christopherson, Waylon Jennings, and Johnny Cash, and then he's the only one. We would think he would have went first, looking at him.
Yeah, a joint a day.
A joint a day keeps the doctor at bay.
It does. It does. Or at least keeps you mentally like where you need.
I don't think it keeps the doctor away. I think you forget to go to your appointment. Right. It's like a forgetful thing, actually. If you ask me.
You don't go there. They can't kill you with pills.
Yeah, that's true.
Hey.
I do get scared of those pills. They're always trying to give me something. One of the things they tell you is to do a vegan diet. And I read this: vegan men fart 7 times more than non-vegan. Study find. I couldn't imagine what
all the fiber, man.
I couldn't imagine what I would have been like if I'd have been on a vegan at that time when I was dating. You know what I mean? It'd have been straight ruining lives.
All I'm eating is cauliflower and broccoli.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Eggs, cauliflower, broccoli, beans.
You
You're like,
can't eat eggs as a vegan.
You can't?
Does that mean they're 7 times?
I'm just kidding. What is it?
Does that mean they're 7 times funnier?
Yeah,
maybe.
Probably. They barter funnier than I am, probably. That's for damn sure. This scared me. This actually did scare me because I've had they actually have a class action lawsuit against Google for their incognito browser wasn't private.
Hey.
So apparently you can.
That's some bullshit.
I know. There's somebody out there knows that I was watching a lot of cuck porn at one point in my life.
Yeah.
I was really into it for a minute.
Yeah.
I imagine myself as the guy with the girl, not the actual cucks. If that helps you guys sleep at night. They're like, we don't want to comment on that. They're like, that's too much. Nah, we like to goof in here, man. I did see this one as well. This is an interesting one. That average money spent on weddings in the U.S. states. Indiana, $23,000, and it's one of the kind of lower ones.
Oof.
Weddings are expensive.
Yeah, they are.
You would know.
I didn't spend $23,000. I didn't know that. It wasn't that much.
No.
No.
No. Well, that's one thing we all have in common. We were all at your wedding.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was wonderful.
It was.
Coming up on the boat.
It did not cost $23,000, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got that on a budget.
You're bringing down the median average. Thank you for that.
I'm not reporting.
You're not reporting.
No.
It was close then. I'm just kidding. No. You got to use the speaker. You used the speakers the other day for a party, right? How did that go?
Yeah.
How did that party
DJ
go?
to party. I'm trying to tell you, we need to like just sponsor private parties and do this thing.
He's the entrepreneur. The reason why he reached out to you is he's the entrepreneurial. He messaged me after smoking a joint and be like, "Hey man, I got a new business idea. Right, this is what we do.
Nice.
We catapult cats into Ohio, in Springfield, Ohio, and then we rake in the money. We say it's raining cats and dogs.
Bro, it's a market. It's a market. We need to hit it. I'm just saying, if we put it on the border, I think we can make the longevity reach. But it'd be cool. But yeah, DJ'd a party last night. We had a party for my mother-in-law, her birthday. She was ringing her 60th.
Yeah.
So like, but I'm saying like we could DJ parties. We have the entertainment. We know people like just private things.
Did you do anything that constitutes a DJ, or did you just press play? Did you like say anything like on the mic, like yo, here's the next song coming up? Nothing.
I just kept the flow going.
Yeah.
Introduced some things.
That's fun. Did you guys play any games?
We did.
What's a good game you played?
We played a game that was Who Knows Ramona Best, basically.
Okay.
So there was a lot of questions about Ramona. We played a game called Older or Younger, where you had to guess whether this product, or like whether it was like Oreos or some other shit, Motorola cell phone, was older or younger than Ramona.
Okay. How old did she turn?
She turned 60.
That makes sense why you DJ this. I mean, that's why they have that party, right?
Yeah.
60 is a pretty big one.
Yeah, it is. It's an important one. It's small.
Middle age now, I heard.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
I mean, I felt like I was middle-aged now. I'm not planning like very
I think
long.
we technically are. Like for men's, like I'm technically middle-aged now, and it scares the shit out of me.
I think we're on the downfall.
Yeah, we're on the trajectory.
But that's why we got to do so many things, and that's why I want us to do so many things.
Distract me from my inevitable death. I don't want to be distracted from my death.
No.
I did see this. This was an interesting one. Well, did you guys see a Montana man fractured a kid's skull for disrespecting the national anthem? Oh. This is a wild story that this man said he had every right to slam a 13-year-old to the ground. A 13-year-old boy was attending a Montana country fair and rodeo on Saturday when he failed to remove his hat during the national anthem. Moments later, a man slammed him to the ground and fractured his skull. And his soul. The boy began seizing. That's an insane story. I mean, I've as a member of the military, you don't have to do that. An ex-member of the military, veteran. As a veteran, you do not have to do that. It's okay. It's okay.
Especially to a child.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's a little much.
Yeah, I'm like, this is our country, you know. This was 2019 though. I'm reading, so don't worry, it was only 2019.
That's old.
They got me. They got me real good.
They did get you.
Emma wrote this though. She's a really good journalist. I'm actually gonna get her to write
And then
satire
of course
for us.
there's also no evidence in there.
Yeah. That's typically how it works. That's how we do most of our articles. If we have evidence, then
I'm going to start writing articles.
you can. That's the internet.
It's easy.
Hey, you actually hit me up if you want to start. What do you want to be one of our shadow writers? You just throw something on there about the, it doesn't have to be about here. We can hit a different town. Let's start being strategic with it. Let's take out these small towns around us and incorporate them.
All right.
Like if they have a small town version of Ogle Products, let's start doing some secret
corporate espionage.
Corporate espionage via the fake journalism. I love
how
it.
the mafia started.
Yeah, it's exactly. Yeah. But we can be the media arm of it. You ever think about that?
Oh yeah.
Hey, yo, Jordan, let's do it, man.
Yeah,
we can knock it out, bro.
Yeah, this thing ours.
Be careful. I think there's already a media mafia.
Is there here?
Oh yeah,
I think it's already really big and powerful.
Ooh,
man,
we just got to take them out. That's okay. I've seen enough
dude. Just us being ourselves has accidentally hurt a lot of we've hurt some opinions in town already about us based off of our jokes. Ooh. It happens though. I mean. It just is what it is in this town. We've been getting some love lately from the media. I mean, Brian and I went on C92.5 for the first time ever.
I know.
That was weird. Going in there being like, I thought we would never walk in here because they would hate us.
Yeah.
And they were like, some of them looked at me like, you shouldn't be here. they're letting that kid from the class walk in. But I walked in there and was like, "Hi, how are you? I'm just here to compete in the Little Black Dress event." I'm going to throw that up there too. Yeah, I am raising money. I've raised exactly $0. But I figured that's what would happen with this thing.
You gotta get on this, man.
Are you one of them in the dress?
Yeah, I'm going to be wearing a dress, you know. Wouldn't be the
He's
first.
a whoa man.
I'm a whoa man.
Wait, what? What's going on with
Little Black Dress, they do it for the Family Service Association of Howard County. Every year they do, or for 10 years strong, they've done this Little Black Dress event. It raises money for the Family Service Association's women's shelter, domestic violence shelter, really is what it is. And so they do this. People buy tickets. They come in. We pretend like we're drag queens in some way, like we dance and wear dresses. Brian and I have never been asked to compete, but we have dressed up for it at one point a while back. We wore dresses and just goofed off for it. And they took pictures of us and goofed off. But like, this is the first time we've been asked to be a part of it, to actually like go up there and dance and sing and do our thing. So. Yeah, I've heard some rumors this might be the last year, but I don't know if I'm supposed to say that. Well, I get told things, you know. Like you said, I've kind of got the pulse of all the drama. I try to keep my finger on the pulse of the drama of the town. We get a lot of messages because of our page, because people think we're a real news place. They'll message and be like, "Did you hear about this?" And I'll be like, "No, but now I know."
Yeah.
Somebody tried to tell us. I don't know how real this is. So this is unsubstantiated claims right here, and I'm not saying this is real. This was sent to me by somebody random. I don't know if they actually knew what they're talking about, but they told me that the foundation of the battery plant is crumbling. That they can't. There's a fault line. That's the reason why Ryan's, the old Ryan's and Long. What was that steakhouse called over there? Apparently Montana, or I don't remember what there was a steakhouse
out there.
Yeah, it's over on it's on 31. It used to be a little steakhouse, but apparently there's a foundation issue with like a fault line there that they can't keep the foundation up, and that's one of the reasons why it hasn't opened yet. But you know, I don't know if that's true. I honestly don't know.
So then they attached the evidence.
Yeah, exactly, and that's typically how it goes.
Yeah,
but that's how sources are. You have to go find your own evidence. I just am not a journalist, so I'm not going to.
Then they told us it was a Korean, like a Korean conspiracy. It was their fault. It was some weird shit. They tell us weird shit, bro.
I don't remember that part, but you might be right. You might be right. We've heard so much.
It's either things get blamed on Chicagoans or Koreans now.
Yeah.
That's how it works.
That's a good strategy. If nobody will listen to you, then you just make it a race issue, and everybody's listening.
Oh yeah, we're all on board then. I mean, I'll pay attention to it. That'll get my ears peaked. I'll be like, let's talk about it.
Yeah.
It's a perfect subject for the Kokomo Press podcast.
Exactly.
Anyway, I want to throw it one more time. I want to throw it to you guys. Check out the book, We Aren't Who We Are by Dustin Ogle. Check it out. How to Become, with a period.
Wait.
I used to become a long time ago. No, I'm not. How to Become Again. It should be. That's the second one. How to Become Again. And it's about going back to your roots as a baby.
Yes.
He's like, God, I can't stand this guy. He's like, I hate him. He's making a mockery of my book in my face. I'm just playing.
To listen to what you were saying.
This is great. I love it. I'm actually going to sit down and read it because I actually think it actually could give me something after what you said. You said some beautiful words about it.
I do what I can.
I have two other books that I've read. One's a book of poetry, and one's about a girl who was dealt with some horrible, toxic military culture, and she's supposed to come on sometime soon. So I always like when people have books because I want to read them because I like to read. Do you have an audio? I'm just kidding. You do? You should. You have a whole studio. You could probably do a really great audio.
Yeah, there is an audio. That's
is?
It's machine, but I'm currently doing one myself. So.
Oh, God.
Does it feel weird to sit in a studio and read your own words, like to?
It is weird, actually.
Like
I don't
what you
even
choose
like
to inflect and what you choose.
Yeah, and I don't like to do the solo podcasting either.
It's hard.
I've done
very
hard.
I know it's important and people do it well. It's just not for me.
I just talk to myself in weird voices, like what I already do on here, but I do it more because I'm just me. So I'm like, oh, what'd you say? And I'm like, oh, I said this. And then I'll be like, it's worse. It's a worse show. I did it one time on this show where I was by myself, and I was like, wow, I think I'm a crazy person. I look like a crazy person.
So when you do it, when you look at the camera, what do you imagine? Who do you imagine you're talking to?
I imagine the camera is naked. Just kidding. That's what they say to do. No, I honestly, when I do it, I incorporate the audience as they're already there. I just pretend they're already there and I'm talking to people who are paying attention right now. So
you're imagining like people looking at their phones and stuff.
I'm imagining myself watching it the next day to make clips. I'm just kidding. You know, I'm like talking to people, so I'll be like, can you believe it? Like I naturally have the inclination of being like, you put me on a stage anywhere and I'm going to take it over. Like I'm a ham. I'm just a ham person. Always have been. And I also, like I said, I've sang my whole life. I've done plays. I've acted. I do comedy. Like if you put me on a stage somewhere, I'm going to find a method to be crazy on it. It's just who I am as a person. So it's the same as this. I think of it as, I'm just on another stage. Here I am. The same thing I'm doing here. I'll have topics I bring up and be like, can you believe it? Can you believe that Phil Collins is going to be in the new GTA-inspired illustrated film? And then I'll talk to myself and say a joke, and
maybe you can help me out and I'll get good at it.
Yeah. I'll be the guy behind the 3, 2, 1. There. I'd go between the stuff on my own. I've actually had to learn how to do it because before this podcast, I'd never worked with any equipment like this. So I had to.
Yeah, you do a great job.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. I was waiting for you to say that so I could clip that out and be like, see, Dustin said I did a good job and he came on.
That's co-signed.
You guys are great, man. I appreciate you guys coming out here and hanging out with us because honestly, I think people getting to see you guys come cut up with us and realize that, you know, you guys aren't serious and, you know, stoic, but you can joke, you can have a good time.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. I mean, I like that. And then, of course, Lindsey, you do such a wonderful job with the salon and with the products. And you guys do a great job of the entrepreneurial space in Kokomo. It, like Jordan very aptly said earlier, it feels like a revolving door. And for as long as you guys have been doing it and keeping things going, it's a huge testament to like the willpower and the strength that you guys have putting each other and working together to get this together. Because I mean, we've been doing this for what, 5 years, and there's been a lot of times where I've thought about stopping it, and we don't even make any money. So I can't imagine if you guys have to deal with that and that aspect of things. It can get rough.
Yeah, well, anything worth doing is difficult, right?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, that's true.
Wouldn't mean a thing if it were easy.
So let's run for president. That's what we just announced it. Yep. Dustin's running for president.
You heard it here first.
Loving it.
It's worth doing because it's difficult. So we're going to work together to get him in the Oval Office so that we can make Ogle Products in the basement of the White House. That's our plan. That we don't really want to run the country. We don't want to run the country. We just want to replace baby oil with Ogle product oil. Okay, that's what we're trying to do.
I can't wait to be an introvert campaigning.
That'd be awesome.
I'm just saying, you might want to consider selling your baby or your oils to the prison industry. Bob Barker does really well with all of his products. Right. I'm just saying, it might open up. Somebody out there has a lot of money on their books.
Well, the lubricants are going to open some stuff up for everybody.
All did.
So we definitely talked about that. All did it.
I didn't even know what to think about that.
Yeah, it's okay. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry we did this to you.
Yeah, the articles were all like, they found all this lube and like this absurd amount of dildos and stuff.
Yeah.
Then this guy's terrible. And I was like, I believe that he's done something terrible. We'll find out when a court.
Yeah.
But the stuff you chose to tell me is not illegal at all.
No, not at all.
But there were actually illegal things.
Yeah, some crazy shit.
Yeah, it was in the news, or that they seized Diddy's 47 AK-47s, multiple machine guns.
Right.
Still not illegal.
A plethora of massive dildos and 1,000 bottles of baby oil. So I mean, there you go.
I think it more had to do with like the illegal taping and the way that like the drugging women and stuff like that. That's where it gets a little
weird. That's the point I was
That's
making.
the part.
Why not leave with that? Like
because it's not as salacious, Dustin. You know why?
Come on,
because we remember 734 exactly dildos, but we don't remember 65 women over the course of 20 years or whatever. It's just how it is. We have to talk about the baby. It is a bizarre amount of baby oil. 1,000 bottles seems like a lot.
but it never goes bad. So
you're not lying. It might become a commodity.
What are they going to do with it? Because it's not illegal.
Well, I mean, technically that means the police or the feds seized it, so they're probably going to have to find a use for it somewhere.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll find it.
Well, they have to store it for evidence, or hey,
they have to open up a new locker.
Oil over here.
Imagine it comes up on auction.
Johnny Cochran, like, if the oil don't fit, you must have quit. I don't know. It's horrible. I'm just imagining so much oil. Imagine just pushing it out into the court just to make it like a big thing. is how much oil. And,
Well, I hope they turn it into something good. I mean, I'm sure there's like, you know, some ashy people out there that like,
exactly.
I mean,
Yeah,
because we're bad boys for life.
if you guys would have wrote that whole story, as it would have been satire.
Yeah, yeah.
Like
if
3
we
weeks
would've.
ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the thing about satire. You have to have an imagination, and the problem is that a lot of times our imagination is reality.
yeah.
I was going to say, wouldn't that be curious if like some of or a lot of the things throughout time that you've posted actually does come true? Has that happened?
Oh, I want to become the Simpsons.
You could
Yeah.
be
You
like
can be the Simpsons.
I want to
prophets.
be.
Instead
Yeah.
of hypocrisy, you could be prophecy.
There you go. That's actually his cousin.
That's my
Prophecy is his
actually.
cousin.
That Prophecy is my cousin.
Yeah, he-
Really?
Yeah.
Well,
it's called having black family
crazy.
members.
It's crazy.
Black family members have fun names, man.
He just hit me up today.
My cousin's name is John, so he doesn't have any. He's
well,
just
that's your Italian name.
Jean. Jean.
That's your Italian name.
Come get in the car, Jean.
It's all for full circle,
Yeah.
and it's all in the family.
Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. This is the Kokomo Press Podcast. I'm Jordan Grainger.
Hypocrisy Jones.
Got Lindsey and Dustin Ogle in the house. Check out the book. Check out Fade Salon. Check out the Coterie. Check out Ogle Products. They'll probably have more things that we haven't even said because they're just so busy. But
Yeah.
thank you guys for hanging out. The Kokomo Press Podcast.
Thank you.
Mwah, mwah, mwah. We love you. Thank you for watching the Kokomo Press Podcast. We really appreciate you hanging out with us. If you enjoyed the show, make sure you like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, share, and tell all your friends about it, because when people know about us, we get to continue to bring new, great, exciting things to you. And if you really want to support us, you can actually go on to Facebook and you can become an official subscriber. It's only $4.99 a month, and you get a lot of access to us. You get to tell us good jokes, tell us all the things you want to, and you're going to get access to new videos, merch, all kinds of things. And if you just want to support us in another way, maybe wear a shirt, wear a hat, something like that, check out kokomopress.shop. It's a brand new store we have set up. It's got all our merchandise needs. It's going to have limited run t-shirts, limited run hats. Go check it out right now. Thank you so much for hanging out with the Kokomo Press on the Kokomo Press Podcast. See you soon. 2 kisses.